preventing and detecting the importation of illegal drugs. These checkpoints also help raise awareness among coastal communities and those working at sea, encouraging them to report any suspicious activity. Information leaflets were distributed to motorists during the operation. The day of action was carried out under Operation Tara and involved detective units, the Divisional Drugs Unit and the Divisional Immigration Unit within An Garda Síochána, with support from Revenue Customs officers and the Workplace Relations Commission.
A meeting of the Oireachtas Committee on Higher Education will discuss problems facing apprenticeships. It's claimed a lack of information about them, recognition and pay equality are some of the sticking issues. The Teachers Union of Ireland says schools need to get better at promoting them. TUI General Secretary Michael Gillespie says apprentices are in high demand.
People are going into apprenticeship a bit late in life. And we've got younger people going into it who can't afford to stay in it because we've got certain organisations paying less than the minimum wage while they're doing apprenticeships. Now, while you're doing apprenticeships, you're doing real work. People are giving you work to do while you're learning. Therefore, they need to be treated well and given a fair pay.
Bernardo says it wants to ensure every child in the country has a Christmas this year. The charity is launching its Christmas appeal amid a surge in demand for its services. 2025 is set to be another record-breaking year with more than 35,000 people looking for support. Bernardo's director of fundraising, Mary Gamble, says it's a crucial time of the year for children.
Everybody knows what it felt like to wake up on Christmas morning and see that present downstairs that you were just hoping to get. It means everything to them, and it just is so magical. And we want to make sure that every single family that we work with can make sure they can give the joy of Christmas to a child this year.
The president of Nigeria has pledged to recruit 20,000 additional soldiers to combat worsening armed violence across the country. Bola Tinubu has declared a national emergency following recent mass abductions and kidnapping of boarding school pupils. More than 1,500 children have been abducted from Nigerian schools since 2014. And looking now to weather, blustery or windy today, and it will be cloudy for a time with outbreaks of rain and drizzle, along with patchy mist and some hill and coastal fog. A band of more persistent rain will spread from the west this morning and early afternoon, followed by brighter and drier conditions with some sunny spells. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
For 25 years, the Citizens Information Board has been your trusted source for clear and reliable information on rights and entitlements. As times have changed, so have we, making sure you always have access to unbiased information. So if you're wondering where to turn for information on your rights and entitlements, we're your free and reliable source. For more, go to citizensinformation.ie. Citizens Information Board, a trusted source for 25 years.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And very good morning to you. This is the 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. Donal Kavanagh with you in the hot seat until 12 noon today. You're very, very welcome. It's a Thursday. It's a little bit blustery. It's not the nicest of days, but it's not going to be the worst either. Reasonably mild for the time of year. We're going to be hitting in around about 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, as the weather forecast was saying. So it's mild, it's grand. Sit back, enjoy a coffee, have your beverage of choice, and enjoy the programme. Listening, of course, on radio, as we did over the years. You can also, of course, listen online, listen on your smart speaker. You can listen on your smart TV, and you can listen variously through other ways as well as listening on radio in the traditional ways. You can, of course, watch the show unfold before you. We're on Highland Radio Ireland. That's our dedicated YouTube channel. The show being cast across our Facebook pages as well, which means when we have guests or in studio or indeed on Zoom, you can see them and you can watch those conversations as they unfold. If you want to make contact with the programme, text it or WhatsApp us on 086 60 25,000. You can call, of course, 07491 25,000, 00353 7491 25,000 if you're outside of the Donegal dialing area. And you can email us on comments@highlandradio.com. It's a Thursday, which means we have quite a lot of local papers to look at, so we'll get straight to the papers this morning. Donegal News, front page, €5 million to be spent on active travel projects. Chris Ashmore writes an estimated 1.5 million will be paid to contractors for work on the active travel between the hospital roundabout and Knocknamona roundabout in 2026. Also estimated there'll be 3.7 million to be spent on the traffic management and active travel works from the Polestar roundabout to the Creamery roundabout at Ballyrain. Also looking on the inside of the Donegal News, CAMS consultant post to be filled in January. That will be very good news. A meeting of the Regional Health Forum West told in Galway this week that Donegal Mental Health Services are currently working on filling the post, but the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service at this point in time doesn't have a consultant, and there has been no alternative service in place. So the sooner that appointment is made, obviously, the better. Front of the Tyrconnell Tribune this morning, firefighters' claims are completely inaccurate. The Donegal Firefighters Association is calling on Donegal County Council to clarify recent comments linking fire service charges to a Workplace Relations Committee agreement. The Donegal Firefighters Association says it's deeply concerned by comments suggesting that the fire service call-out charges are linked with the WRC agreement. They say this agreement is funded by the Department of Finance. It follows a discussion at a meeting of Letterkenny Municipal District, which took place earlier this month. Front of the Derry News, a story we covered on the news here yesterday. Racist graffiti daubed on home condemned. A home that was occupied by a Sudanese family in the Fountain Estate had local only painted on the front of the house with a crosshairs symbol as well. And particularly for people who are potentially fleeing persecution, something like a crosshair symbol could have a very deep and disturbing meaning for them, particularly if they're fleeing potential violence in their own home country. So that story in Derry is unfolding as we speak. That's the front of the Derry News. Moving on to the Nationals. An interesting story inside of the Irish Independent this morning. You'll have been listening to news yesterday and heard of money being ring-fenced for the 10T projects in Donegal, and indeed, whereas nationally a lot of talk about projects in Cork, Limerick and Dublin. The headline in the inside of the Irish Independent, Western counties biggest winners of new €22 billion transport windfall. Limerick, Galway and Donegal will get the largest state investment in roads infrastructure. We do have up to €1 billion to be used to fund the 10T project, somewhere between 510 million and $1 billion for the construction of 42 kilometres of road between Letterkenny, Manor Cunningham, Lifford and the Ballabafay Stranraer bypass. It's hoped construction can begin in 2028. That's the long spoken about 10T, which of course includes, as well as the Ballabafay Stranraer bypass, which has been a topic of conversation as long as I'm working here, and I'm here nearly 36 years. Also the much discussed bridge across the Swilly, the Bonagee Link as it's called, that forms part of that programme as well. We could see construction begin late 28, depending on how the planning process goes over the course of the next 2 years or so. Also included, and this is interesting for people in Donegal when you look a bit further, County Monaghan will get between 500 and $1 billion over the next 5 years for the N2 RD to Castleblaney scheme and the N2 Clontipperet to the Border Road. The N2 Slane bypass in County Meath will also be funded. Now, the N2, the first two parts of that, the RD Blaney and Clontipperet to the border, they effectively are the road from East and North Donegal to Dublin. So when we speak about these projects in Monaghan being done, what we're talking about is effectively improvements on the road between Donegal and Dublin. There has been much talk about the need for a motorway linking Donegal and Dublin. And if in the fullness of time we get the dualling of the A5, which is again another long discussed project for decades, if we also get those dual carriageways between Clontipperet and the border and between Castleblaney and RD, that will effectively mean that by and large it'll be almost totally a dual carriageway from, well, certainly from Strabane to Dublin. There is a new road between Letterkenny, between Manor and Lifford planned as well. I'm not sure that's a dual carriageway. Perhaps it is. I stand to be corrected on that, actually. Off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure. But it's potentially a very interesting one, those routes in Monaghan getting approval in that development plan as well. Now, as we know, and we know from years of covering stories like this, there is many a slip twixt cup and lip. And inclusion in a development plan and a promise of future funding is one thing, actual execution is another. And as we've seen with the A5, you don't know, there could be a court challenge, there could be a problem in the planning process, there could be many potential hiccups between now and then. But if all goes according to plan, by 2030 we'll have construction underway on some very important road projects which will further ease the journey between here and the capital, and that'll serve as well as serving individuals travelling for appointments or shopping or entertainment or whatever. It'll also have a huge impact on business, and let's hope everything works speedily with those projects. Irish Times this morning, story on the inside pages. President yet to move into Oris or select key aides. Catherine Connolly intends to announce her appointments to the Council of State early in the new year, according to a spokesperson. Other key staff appointments have yet to be made. The President's closest advisor and key figure in her election campaign, Beiveen O'Connor, has joined her as a special advisor, but there's been no decision on any future appointments. The President hasn't actually moved into Oris and Uachtaráin yet. There are still minor reservations taking place since Oris was vacated by the previous incumbent, Michael D. Higgins, and his wife Sabina. Ms Connolly is currently staying at the Stewart's Lodge at Farmley House. It's understood a date hasn't been made yet as to when the President will be able to move into Oris on Uachtaráin. Also a story covered in many papers this morning. Grieving brother urges teens not to inhale deodorant. A brother has urged teenagers to stay away from inhaling deodorant fumes, saying it's not worth it, not even for one day. Andrew Maguire's plea comes just 2 months after the death of his older brother Daniel, who was just 14 when he died after inhaling deodorant fumes. And a chill went up my spine when I read that story, because I am of an age that I can well remember there was a huge focus on sniffing glue in the mid to late 1970s. At that point, I would have been in my mid-teens. I turned 16 in 1980. So between 1975 and 1980, I was basically 14, 15, 16, 17. I was sort of between 10 and 16. I was in those early teen years at that point in the 70s when sniffing glue was a big thing, and it was something that we were all sort of so nervous about and scared of. Now, you tended to hear about it being done elsewhere. I certainly didn't know anybody that did, and I certainly wasn't going to touch anything like that. And I know that sort of fear, that sort of whole sniffing glue thing still evokes within me, and I got that same feeling back again when I read that deodorant story. We haven't heard now, that's not to say it's not been going on in the background, but I haven't heard a story like that for a while, and it is deeply, deeply disturbing. Irish Daily Mail this morning, interesting story on the front page. Fáilte Ireland climate action official among objectors to Metrolink. This is despite the tourism body saying the project is vital, and it raises an interesting question. It is basically a person who works with Fáilte Ireland as a climate action officer is objecting to Metrolink. Now, the argument is Metrolink is going to take a load of cars off the road, and Metrolink is going to be a better alternative, because we're told constantly that public transport is a better alternative than cars. So a climate action officer with a tourism body should be welcoming action to improve that. But on the other hand, individuals do have rights in terms of objecting to something, and I think the objection seems to be along the lines of the impact it's going to have on property values in her area. The person in question has invested in a home. Presumably they want to protect that investment, and you have this interesting sort of question. It's raised too among politicians. We hear it constantly, and it's a tactic used by the government a lot in Leinster House. Whenever Sinn Féin speak about the housing crisis, one of the issues that keeps on coming back is, your members have objected to developments here, your members have objected to developments there. And it raises a really interesting question, and I think a question we haven't quite fully grappled with yet in this country, which is, where do you draw the line between the right of the individual to make a personal intervention in something like that versus the role they play and the role they hold in an organisation, be it a state organisation or indeed be it a private organisation. Let's move to the tabloids, and there's one story which is interesting, and it's in both the Star and the Mirror. It's front page on the Star this morning. Doll I want for Christmas. And crafty city street hawkers are flogging Jerry Hutch Christmas merchandise, including mugs, wrapping paper and Santa hats with Merry Christmas from Jerry on them. Yeah, and this basically comes after Jerry Hutch, 62, basically confirmed that he will be looking at standing in the Dublin Central by-election, which is due to take place next year. There is a by-election in Dublin Central because, of course, Paschal Donoghue last week confirmed he is moving to Washington, D.C., and he is becoming a senior manager with the World Bank. Therefore, there is a vacancy in Dublin Central. Therefore, there will be a by-election, and Jerry Hutch will be one of the contestants running. Candidates, excuse me. Jerry Hutch will be one of the candidates, and it raises that the spectre of, and we saw how close he came in the general election last year. Now, it's a by-election is a different beast, but you don't know what happens. You don't know what sort of perspective people will take, and one of the issues we have in elections is by-elections and referendums very often can effectively become referendums on the performance of the government. So people will take a by-election and they will effectively use that to pass judgment on the government, and they will vote for someone who is anti-government, seen as a bit of an anti-establishment figure, seen as a bit of an outlier, and seen as the focus of a protest vote. And I would imagine that Jerry Hutch's advisors and his campaigners will be very much focusing on that. Vote for Jerry, give the government a bloody nose. And we'll get that really, really focused in Dublin Central during the by-election. And it remains to be seen what happens. But for the moment, I mean, you know, not only will there be posters on the lines, but there'll be Santa hats with the name on them. I have to say that the puns are out in force on this story. As I say, the front page of the Star is "All I Want for Christmas." In the Mirror, it's an inside story, and the headline in the Mirror is "Have yourself a Jerry Little Christmas." So it's Christmas, folks. The puns will be out in force more and more in the coming weeks. Let's move to the Mirror. Inside the Mirror, there's a very sad story. Like many people, I became completely caught up in the Traitors Celebrity version last month and utterly enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed the Traitors, actually. And we hear this morning that Celebrity Traitors star Ruth Codd has had a second leg amputated. The Wexford-born actor lost her right leg below the knee because of a footballing injury, and she in no way hid it when she was on the programme, and now she has confirmed that the left leg has been taken off below the knee as well. Another story, and I saw this morning on social media. I saw a video clip of this. Anthem a Sheena Fina failure. Ireland fell to a 3-1 defeat in their European Under-19 qualification opener against group favourites Sweden yesterday, but the girls in green picked up an early win when they sang Aron the Vian by themselves after a massive mishap at the organisers' behest led to God Save the King being played as the Irish national anthem. So the girls were standing there, they were waiting to hear Aron the Vian. What they heard was bam, bam, ba, ba, and you could hear the howls of protest. Immediately it stopped, and the girls, fair play to them, just sang Aron the Vian. Well, that is what you call a cock-up. Let's look at the Farmers Journal, which is the... Actually, no, we're going to look, I believe, just one story in The Sun this morning. And it's, I get my blood removed, washed and put back. It's helped me age backwards. Simon Cowell on his extraordinary bid for immortality. He gets the blood removed, washed. I seem to recall there was claims years ago that Keith Richards was doing that, having blood removed in a clinic in Switzerland. And it was being treated as some sort of science fiction. Anyway... And finally, for this morning, the Irish Farmers Journal, because it's a Thursday, Department makes more cuts to farmer payments. That's the main headline on the Irish Farmers Journal. And also inside, there's the second part of their investigation into cattle in Brazil and the farming practices there. That's obviously very important in terms of Mercosur. And that noise behind me suggests I just tried to put the Farmers Journal onto a chair and missed. It's 19 minutes past 9. Time for a short break. Back with our first guest after these.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountain Top Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountain Top Diner.
The 9 till Noon Show with Donegal's multi-award winning wedding venue, the Silver Tassie Hotel, planning dream weddings for generations. Email weddings at silvertassiehotel.ie for information on their brand new wedding packages.
Looking for a getaway this winter? Whether it's winter sun, a city break, Christmas markets, or hitting the ski slopes, Belfast International Airport has you covered. Check out our exciting winter schedule and start planning your next adventure. And don't forget, pre-book your car parking and save at belfastairport.com.
Treat yourself to Vodafone's best deals this Black Friday. Get the Google Pixel 10 for €0 when you switch to bill pay, or the Google Pixel 9a for only $199.99 on pay-as-you-go. With Ireland's best mobile network 10 years in a row. Vodafone. Together we can.
Subject to availability. New customers on pay-as-you-go or on any 24-month bill pay plan. Offer ends 6th of January 2026. Each April, the price of your plan will increase by €3.50 per month. Best in test Umlaut 2025. For certification and full terms, see vodafone.ie/terms.
Find me somebody to love.
The Dream Spend and Save event is now on. I bet you beds are excited.
Oh yeah, we're bouncing.
Until Sunday, save up to £200 on beds and mattresses. Spend more, save more.
But don't hang about. You snooze, you lose.
Dreams. Love your bed.
Save 20% in the Loganair Tartan sale with promo code Tartan20. Book now at loganair.co.uk. TCs and exclusions apply, subject to availability.
Ben Sweeney Euronics in the Super Value Shopping Centre Dunlow is proudly celebrating 30 years serving the community. Call in today for great value across our full range of TVs, laptops, air fryers, home appliances and gas cookers and hobs, all with a free gas offer. You'll also find great deals throughout our Letterkenny store. Ben Sweeney Euronics. We deliver, we install, we care. Shop in store or online at bensweeney.ie.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
22 minutes past 9, and a very good morning to you. Let's go to line 1, joined by Councillor Kieran Brogan. He's Mayor of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District and also a member of the Regional Health Forum West. And Kieran, good morning to you.
Good morning, Donal.
Kieran, an issue that's raised very often at the forum by yourself and other members from Donegal is ambulance response times and the volume of ambulances being dispatched for people who contact NowDoc out of hours service. In the past 3 years, you sought figures from the forum. You were given those figures this week, and you're assessing what sort of trends are coming from them. What are the headlines of what you've been getting?
Well, I think it's a worrying development, Donal. It's something I've watched closely and monitored over the last number of years. Is back in the day when NowDoc was firstly set up, it was a great model of keeping particularly a lot of elderly and sick people at home rather than everyone going to the hospital. And at the time, the doctor would have went to visit the patient in the car. But that trend seems to have changed, especially since COVID. And a lot of the time, the cars are not being dispatched out to the patient. And a lot of the time, then an ambulance is being dispatched. And the concern that I have, there's a lot of the time there's ambulances bringing people maybe to the hospital that, in my opinion, maybe could be kept at home. And what's really happening in the worrying trend for me is that the very fact that sometimes ambulances are all busy, if you like, and maybe somebody that needs the ambulance most in an emergency, there's no ambulance available for them. So I think we need to look, and it was acknowledged at the meeting by the management on Tuesday that it's something they need to have a good, honest and fresh look at it. I think there's a role here for the GPs. I think the GPs need to be actively monitoring and trying their best to keep as many patients as they can at home. And I think in fairness to the community, the community people over the last while that have set up a lot of the good work that's happening there and keeping people at home, the paramedics, community paramedics is doing very well. That's a new initiative that was launched by the ambulance service in the last number of years called Pathfinder. That has been very successful as well, and I suppose I'll be asking that that's extended to longer hours as well, because the success of that has been huge.
Is the problem here is the problem here that effectively in some people's eyes what's happened is Pathfinder has almost replaced that NowDoc car? Because I mean, what Pathfinder does, it dispatches paramedics in a special car to a home with the intention of helping the person in the home and keeping them in the home and not necessitating them going to hospital. I mean, that effectively seems to be duplicating what NowDoc used to do, but instead of becoming a partner to and complementary to NowDoc, what it's actually done is it's become a replacement.
That's a very, very fair assessment, Donal. But then the question you need to ask immediately, what is NowDoc doing now? And what is the doctors in NowDoc doing? And what are they doing to keep patients in the home? And I think there is, and there has been, a different trend in the county, and this is something I've raised previously as well. There are certain areas in Donegal that are excellent, where they're keeping the patients home. Then there's areas that are not so good, and people are being sent to hospital. one could be forgiven for thinking that, it's the easy option to send everyone to A&E. And I think that's wrong, and it's not fair, and it's not right, and it's not fair in the patients, and particularly elderly patients, to be sending them into A&E. And we're talking now at a time when the winter really hasn't hit, and the weather hasn't got really cold yet, and to be sending elderly and vulnerable people in to maybe where they pick up more viruses, I think is wrong. So I think we need to be, and I've asked that the primary care team, along with the hospital management and the ambulance service, has a fresh look at the model or the assessment that they're doing. I know we hear the word triage, which is effectively the assessment of the patients, but I think there needs to be a fresh look at that, and everybody has a role to play, because the one thing I will keep saying is people should think before they call an ambulance, because that ambulance could be better used for somebody who needs it in emergency. And we've had far too many incidents of recently where people have had to wait far too long for ambulances to arrive. So I think everybody has a role to play in this. I'm highlighting this because I think it's a real issue, and I think collectively we have a job to do to try and alleviate what is seen by a lot of people as an abuse of the ambulance service, because, I think we need to be clear, an ambulance service is an emergency service and it's not a taxi service. And I think we need to be firm, we need to be strong on message on this one here, though.
I think perhaps too, there may be education, for want of a better word, needed on what the ambulance service is and what the ambulance service does, because I think a lot of people have a perception that if you call an ambulance, your loved one will be seen quicker and will be seen with more urgency. Sometimes the reality is, if you call an ambulance, what will happen is they'll sit in that ambulance for X number of hours without even getting in the door of the emergency department, because there's a queue of ambulances in front of them.
Yeah, you have your finger on the pulse, Donal, and that's a massive issue. As the turnaround times in Letterkenny Hospital sometimes could be 7 and 8 hours. It's huge because of the capacity and because of the demand that's there at the moment, and it can be a very trying place to be, not alone for the person in the ambulance, but for all the staff dealing with that situation. And while you're in the ambulance, then somebody else that maybe needs an emergency more can't get an ambulance available to them. So I think that's why I'm asking for all the people, the heads together, including the hospital management, because the turnaround times in Letterkenny Hospital too are probably one of the longest in the country, and that's because of the delays. So anything that we can all do to highlight this issue and to alleviate the pressure and to highlight the fact that just everyone going to hospital is not the answer either. If we can put more resources and to keep them at home. And again, I want to emphasise the great work that has been done by the community paramedics who have done great work over the last number of years in their respective areas, and Pathfinder's doing great work. But I think there needs to be, if the GPs have more role to play to, I suppose, get that message out to their patients as well, that it's not just the answer for everyone to be going to A&E, it's not the answer to be sending an ambulance to every house.
On Pathfinder, and this is, I have to be honest, I was under the impression that at this stage Pathfinder was operating on a 24/7 basis. A caller has been in touch to say it's not. Pathfinder operates Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And I would have thought if there's to be an extension of Pathfinder, not only do there need to be more vehicles and more paramedics, but it needs to expand so that it's available in the evenings and overnight as well, because surely that's when the main need for something like Pathfinder actually is.
Pathfinder has been a huge success. It is actually Monday to Friday, but it's on Saturday at 8 o'clock. And I suppose additional resources is needed there. But the Pathfinder model has been a huge success, but we need additional resources for that, and there's dedicated teams that we need for that. But the success of Pathfinder has been huge. But I think we all have a role to play in the whole ambulance service issue that I'm referring to. And I think a lot of that will happen in the NowDoc service as well. We need to be closely monitoring that, because the one simple question you would ask, Donal, as I've said from the outset, is the doctors that are in NowDoc now no longer going out to the homes of the patients? We don't see the NowDoc cars on the road. And is it the easy option to just refer them to the hospital? If that's happening, then it's wrong.
Final point, and a caller makes this point. I recently, in the past couple of months, have had to bring my parents to hospital on different occasions. The paramedics have said very clearly they are under-resourced. So instead of appealing to people not to call an ambulance, what about a campaign for more resources?
I think we have huge amounts of resources in the last number of years, but the resources is not the answer when you see the backlog that's happening at A&E. And, people that would be working at the coalface of the A&E would tell you that there's an awful lot of people coming to A&E now that doesn't need to be in A&E. And if we go back to what A&E actually means, it is accident and emergency. And we need to try and take people out of that hospital system into the NowDoc service. And, there's a lot of good work happening in the Chronic Disease Hub in Letterkenny, a huge amount of work, and the team there deserve huge credit because they have, over the last number of years, taken an awful lot of people out of the hospital system. There's an awful lot of home supports that have got huge resources in the last number of years. But I think what needs to happen here is the mindset needs to change of what the ambulance service is about and what the ambulance service is for. To my mind, it has been about an emergency service, and the NowDoc needs to take up the role that they would have had done previously, and needs to be more proactive in doing that.
A caller saying if the elderly were treated in the district hospitals and nursing homes and in their own home by GPs with IVs for dehydration and antibiotics plus blood tests, that would take a lot of the pressure away from the emergency department. I mean, that is pretty much what you are saying there. Question, how much liaising and cooperation is there between NowDoc and the ambulance service? Are they talking enough to each other? Are they communicating enough with each other? And are they working together to ensure that what resources they have between them are maximised to the best effect?
Yeah, I would say the cooperation has never been as good over the last number of years between the community hospitals, between the general hospitals, the ambulance service and the GPs, because a lot of the issues around the hospital, for example, would be things like the delayed discharges that are happening because of the shortage of home help, home support. That's another huge issue as well, getting back to resources. And an awful lot of people are waiting to get into community hospitals that are full as well. Although we will have, to the end of next year, the new 110 community nursing units in Letterkenny. It'll be a huge relief, but I suppose there's a big issue out there, and we need to, I think it's not all reliant on the services. I think we need to try and create that awareness with the general public as well. I think we all have a role to play in trying to keep people out of the hospital system where we can.
Councillor Kieran Brogan, thank you very much. Before I let you go, I do want to ask you about one other thing, and that is the unresolved Donegal County Council budget. We were in Lifford on Friday of last week for the budget meeting. At that point, Fianna Fáil had questions and points of clarification they needed from the executive. As the meeting adjourned that evening, they were awaiting those clarifications. The meeting due to reconvene on Wednesday of next week, which is the day before the actual deadline set by government to have a budget agreed. Can I ask you, have your party received the clarifications that you need from the executive, and do you believe you're closer to a final agreed position and potentially a finally agreed position on council?
No, I have to be honest and tell you, Donal, I have had no correspondence of any kind from the executive in Donegal County Council since we met last week around the concerns that we've had. I look forward to hearing from them, but as of yet, I have had no calls or connections of any kind from them, and hopefully we will in the coming days, because Fianna Fáil has huge concerns around many issues, and hopefully there'll be an address, and hopefully get some clarification around that, but it's something I look forward to.
Councillor Kieran Brogan, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Donal.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Teddy's Bar at the Silver Tassie Hotel, the ideal spot to catch up for cosy Christmas drinks by the fire and enjoy live music. The Silver Tassie Hotel, proud sponsors of today's 9 till noon show.
At Super Value with real rewards until Sunday, stock up on 7-Up, Club and Pepsi 18-pack cans, €8 each. Get Quality Street Chocolate Tub 550 gram, only €4. Also, until Sunday, save 33% on fresh Irish beef housekeeper's cut. Check your Real Rewards app for vouchers and make it a Christmas with a difference at Super Value. DRS supplies.
It's the Right Price Tiles wood flooring and bathware 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles wood flooring and bathware. Stores nationwide. Sale ends Sunday.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
This year, every organisation with over 50 employees must highlight the difference in pay between men and women, the gender pay gap. Because if we highlight it, we can all work to close it. So whether you work in boardrooms, showrooms, front rooms, stock rooms, or not in rooms at all, if you have 50 or more staff, you must report it by November 30th. Let's all highlight the difference to make a difference. Visit gov.ie/gender pay gap to learn more.
They're back after yet another sellout show. It's Mac Fleetwood, live at Angrinnan Theatre, Letterkenny on Saturday, 6th of December. Experience the magic and the music with hits like Go Your Own Way, Dreams, The Chain and Rhiannon. Mac Fleetwood bring you an unforgettable night of Fleetwood Mac classics. Tickets on sale now at angrinnan.com. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Paddy McGurn Machinery Sales Ballyshannon. Stockists of Coon Farm machinery including balers, mowers, tellers and more. We also stock SIP rakes and tellers, Connor slurry equipment, Fleming equipment, Marigon mowers and Agrimaster mulchers. Serving Donegal, Sligo and Leitrim. Call 086 329 8417 for expert advice and great deals. Paddy McGurl, quality machinery, ready when you are.
This Christmas, we're giving you the chance to win big. You could drive away in a brand new Renault Symbioz Techno worth over €35,000 with our big car draw. Get your tickets now at highlandradio.com. The winner will be announced live on the 9 till noon show December 23rd. Get in the draw and you could be starting the new year in a brand new car.
Caller says the only way to be seen is by calling an ambulance, and everybody knows this. I'm not sure. I mean, as Councillor Brogan said, we see more and more cases now where ambulances literally are queuing outside the emergency department before the person can actually even enter the department. And we've heard several cases of people who've arrived at the hospital by ambulance and it's been hours before they've seen. So I'm not sure I would take it as a matter of principle that if you call an ambulance, you'll be seen more quickly. Another caller says, we should be looking at resources. The fact is the county has an extra 25,000 people in it, but we have no extra resources. I think in fairness to Councillor Brogan and to others who are members of the Regional Health Forum, Councillor Jerry McMonigal, Councillor Declan Meehan, Councillor Micheál Naughton on it as well. I mean, and their predecessors, people like Albert Doherty and others, Councillor Gary Doherty is a member too. There have been... Liam Blaney was on as well. Members past and present, they are always calling for more resources. I can absolutely guarantee that as someone who covers those meetings on a regular basis. Now, earlier this week, Jigsaw, the support service, mental health service for young people, issued figures which are disturbing and worrying. Jigsaw in Donegal have seen a 34% increase in demand for their services. We're joined online by Rachel White, who is the campaigns officer with Jigsaw, and she's with us on Zoom. Rachel, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Rachel, those figures have been the fact that there is a 34% increase in young people seeking help for their mental health with Jigsaw. I mean, on the face of it, to me, it's a disturbing figure. Then there's another perspective, I suppose. Is it an encouraging figure because it shows maybe more people in crisis are seeking help?
Definitely, there's kind of like the two sides to that, where it's great that those that are struggling are coming out and reaching out for help, and that there is that help there for them. It's also worrying that there are just like that level of young people reaching out. Like we've just seen the trend isn't just something that we're seeing in Donegal, it's something that we're also seeing across all of our services. September was our highest month yet, and then October came in and beat that again. So we saw this October 1,243 young people sought support from Jigsaw. That same month last year, that's a 24.3% increase across the board from everywhere. So it definitely is. There are lots of young people out here that definitely do need these supports.
Are there seasonal reasons for that? Is it because people maybe had a summer job and they've lost that summer job? Is it that, maybe even as natural as the fact that it's darker, it's colder, it's not as nice, and the season can have an impact on it? Is there a reason that you see that spike in September, October?
I think there is a lot of different reasons why we can't see that spike. It's going back to school, maybe you're starting your leaving cert year, that can be something that's really stressful. Maybe you're starting college, maybe you've moved away, there's so many different things that can kind of come into a young person's life. Again, as you said, maybe they were kind of enjoying themselves with summer, they'd had their summer job, and these kind of supports get taken away. They kind of, maybe they're not that into going to school, they're not enjoying it, and it's something that they go back to. But this is, even kind of with that general seasonal spike that goes on, this is still something, like, since we started in 2006, this has been the highest ever. And like, that is a really market increase. It's strictly marketed Donegal as well.
Now,
But yeah, it's definitely a strong figure.
Jigsaw does have a drop-in office on Pierce Road in Letterkenny. What proportion of people are drop-in versus people who are contacting you by phone or online?
I don't have the exact figures on it. It would be mainly drop-in. I think most people still do prefer to be that face-to-face. I think it's where most people kind of get that emotional connection. It's something that we're still kind of pushing for, to be able to have that. And we're really lucky in Donegal to be able to have a Jigsaw that you can drop in. There's a lot of counties, there's 14 services across Ireland. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of counties that have no drop-in service at all. So that's what we're really pushing for. We're going to open two new, actually. We recently got funding from the government, which is brilliant, to open two new services. So those are going to be opening in Waterford to serve the southeast, and then in Clare. So, but there still needs to be a kind of more push, because clearly the numbers of young people seeking help is just going up, and up. The trends are there. So being able to have those face-to-face services like in Letterkenny is really important.
And in terms of Jigsaw's capacity to meet that demand, how is that capacity in Donegal in terms of both resources, personnel, advisors, counsellors, etc., and also literally physical space?
Yeah, it's tough having, obviously Donegal is quite a large county, being able to have the transport to get there. It'd be great to get more resources in so that we can serve even more of the county. There's always going to be a work in fundraising. It's so hard to go out and kind of get that money in to kind of better equip these services, so that every young person in the county can really easily be seen face to face. And every young person in every county, well, that's the goal generally, is for everyone to have somewhere that they can really easily drop into.
And also you want a setting that's going to respect their privacy and respect their need, perhaps for isolation, for solitude. The last thing someone wants is to walk into a place seeking help, with perhaps very personal issues, and find themselves sitting in a big waiting room with, a number of other people. I mean, that is the last thing they potentially need.
Definitely. No, it's definitely correct. And we've recently done our single session first model, which sounds complicated, but it's generally where a young person will come in and they'll get seen a lot quicker. It's really brought our waiting lists down for young people. So they can come in, they can have a longer, extended kind of problem solving first session that'll last a little bit longer, and they can talk that through. And maybe after that, you'll be feeling a decent bit better, getting that first point of contact and kind of getting those tools early on. They can still obviously come back for more sessions and kind of work through the problems that they have, but it's become a lot more focused, and it's really brought down our waiting times. So being able to even get out the information about the services and that they're there, and although it is worrying to see that many young people needing help, want them in there. If they're having those problems, it's so much better that we can see them.
Obviously, there'll be many cases where you can give the person the help that they need. There may be cases where further medical intervention is necessary. And with that in mind, we got confirmation this week that hopefully in January we will see a CAMS consultant appointed in Donegal, the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service. Now, I'm sure you work closely with CAMS yourselves, and if necessary, will refer people. That must be positive news from your point of view.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, it's brilliant. We all have to kind of work in tandem with this, whether it's kind of primary care providers, mental health charities like us, policymakers, everyone's, because it's such a crisis that's going on right now. Being able to have everybody with a focused effort kind of working towards meeting young people where they're at. So Jigsaw is kind of that early intervention service. It's if you're feeling stressed out, kind of catching those problems higher up before you kind of get to that crisis point. But then sometimes, and often, you need to have somewhere else to go. So it's brilliant to have CAMS.
You partially addressed this actually a moment ago, but a caller has been in touch. Before COVID, I used Jigsaw Services. It was a 12-week program. Now you're offering one session and the rest is online. Why did that change?
I think it's mostly because of the demand as well, but it's been something there's been lots of research going into. It's definitely not something that we've done without thinking or without. All of our stuff is so based in research. So our psychologists have, and our research team here have kind of worked this single session first model, and it's definitely there's still capacity to have those extra sessions whenever, if you need them, be able to have that decision be on the young person. But yeah, to kind of make that impactful difference and to be able to see so many more people and to not be met with a crazy wait time whenever you come in. I think it's so hard whenever you're a young person, you come in and it's, okay, I won't see you for 4 months, 6 months. Being able to get your wait times way down is so much more beneficial.
And I suppose too, when someone, and maybe a very, very big thing for a young person to actually make the decision, I'm going to do it, and they've possibly agonized over this for quite a while, and they walk in that door and they say, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Deep breath, walk in the door, and what happens in the next couple of minutes could be absolutely crucial as to where the process goes after that.
Yeah, it can definitely be disheartening to kind of be met with that wait list. It's tough. I know that a lot of different services are under this pressure, but being able to, okay, I'll get to see you in 2 weeks. It's a lot more manageable than having to, maybe you're really, really stressed about exam season, and by the time 6 months comes around, sure, your exams are done. I don't need that anymore. It's being able to meet people where they're at.
Rachel, before we finish up, if someone does want to get in touch with Jigsaw, as we said, there is a physical office on Pierce Road in Letterkenny, but how can people get in touch?
So for fundraising, we've got jigsaw.ie /fundraise. We've also got jigsaw.ie /donate. We've got our website, all of our, if you're looking to seek support, if you're looking for to kind of make an appointment, we've got the forms on the website there, or if there's other queries that you have, they'll all be on there as well.
Rachel White, Campaigns Officer with Jigsaw, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Rachel. Rachel there on Zoom. Now, just a couple of your comments before we go for a break. Caller says, speaking of the dual carriageway, a man who was working at signs on the dual carriageway yesterday found my purse and handed it into a shop. The purse has taken a good battering as it's been missing for a while. I'd like to thank him for its good deed. I got my licence and cards back, so if anyone knows who it was, please do get in touch. Question, caller says, I'm not sure if anyone can help. I had a small memorial to my son at the Azaranka waterfall for 4 years. There were a few others as well. We went there a few weeks back and everything was gone. Plaques, statues, the lot. Don't know, was it a storm or maybe Donegal County Council lifted them? Is there anyone I could contact just to get any memento back? Now, we did make contact with Donegal County Council, and the council have got back to us to say that Donegal County Council had no involvement in removing a memorial. So I'm afraid, caller, whatever the reason for it was, it was not Donegal County Council. Just want to remind you that there is a quiz running on the programme all this week. I will remind you this a few times over the course of the programme. Thanks to our sponsors, the Silver Tassie Hotel, you could win an indulgent Yonka Delight package at their Seascape Spa, valued at €155. It's a 2.5-hour spa package, including an aromatic steam session and cocoon room, a hot towel, foot and back cleanse, a Yonka back massage and hydrating facial, pressure point face and scalp massage, warm oil foot massage, finishing off with snooze room relaxing time and refreshments to be in with a chance of winning on Friday, which is tomorrow. Please answer this question. Which of these is not traditionally associated with Christmas? A, mistletoe, B, candy canes, or C, fireworks? So of those three, A, mistletoe, B, candy canes, C, fireworks, which is not traditionally associated with Christmas? And to take part, just text or WhatsApp your answer, name and address to 086 60 25,000.
Treat someone special to luxurious relaxation time in the Seascape Spa at the Silver Tassie, offering indulgent treatments, unique gifts and Christmas gift vouchers. 07491 25619. Seascape Spa at the Silver Tassie, proud sponsors of today's show.
O'Neill Sportswear Warehouse Clearance Sale is back in Strabane. From Wednesday the 26th Running through to Saturday the 29th of November, shop huge savings on your favourite products just in time for the festive season. Jerseys, jackets, half zips and so much more. All at incredible prices, perfect for Christmas gifts and stocking fillers. Hurry while stocks last. O'Neill Sportswear Warehouse clearance sale, Strabane from Wednesday the 26th through to Saturday the 29th of November.
Easy Living Furniture's massive Black Friday sale is now on, but the countdown is on because the sale ends this Friday. Enjoy up to 60% off everything, including sofas, dining, bedroom, mattresses and accessories. Explore our magical Christmas department for festive inspiration while grabbing incredible Black Friday savings. Shop the massive Black Friday sale in Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry. Don't miss these unbeatable Black Friday deals.
It's here, the new Opel Frontera. Join Manor Motors for the Frontera Test Drive event and discover the wow, the new family fun SUV from Opel. With big comfort, huge space and room for 7. Choose hybrid or electric and make every drive a new adventure. Get behind the wheel at Manor Motors, your Opel dealer. Now with 5 years unlimited warranty. The new Opel Frontera. Fun has found its family.
Pandora's Black Friday promotion is here. Save up to 30% on charms and jewellery, plus daily deals, and get an early start to your holiday gift shopping. But hurry, this offer won't be around for long. Offer ends 1st of December. Available in participating stores and online at pandora.net while stocks last. Terms and exclusions apply.
Make it a December to remember at McGrory's Cooldaff. Join us for Christmas party nights on Saturday, December 13th. An evening of festive dining and celebration with music from the Yetis. On New Year's Eve, bring in 2026 with great food, fun and music from Snapshot at McGrory's Cooldaff. Book now at mcgrorys.ie or call 07493 79104 for details.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Discover Christmas gift ideas for everyone on your list, from trending beauty to memorable Secret Santa gifts. Visit us in Ballybuffet to explore our extensive range of gifts or shop online at mcelhinney's.com today.
And Met Éireann tell us it'll be blustery and windy today, cloudy for a time with outbreaks of rain and drizzle, along with patchy mist and some hill and coastal fog. A band of more persistent rain will spread from the west this morning and early afternoon. That'll be followed by drier and brighter conditions with sunny spells. The rest of today will be dry apart from well scattered blustery showers, mainly in the west. Mild with top temperatures 11 to 14 degrees Celsius. Cooler though as the rain clears. Southwest winds will strengthen through the day, with winds reaching near gale or gale force near the west coast. Now, it's always a pleasure to talk to the wonderful Noel Cunningham, author and Harvey's Point ambassador. But I'm afraid rather than speaking about the wonders of Donegal, the wonderful benefits of walking, or indeed the joys of dining in the area he represents, we're speaking about something a little more concerning. Noel, good morning.
A very good morning to you, Donal, and lovely to speak to you and to your lovely listeners. Good morning.
A pleasure, as always, Noel, but you had an experience this week. Had it gone differently, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Oh, my goodness. You know, the extraordinary thing is we are talking about a brush with one of the most beautiful animals we see in our environment, a deer. I was coming back from visiting a friend whose wife's anniversary it was yesterday evening. And because the winter colour in the woods and in the vegetation, they're not the easiest to spot, but I saw this graceful animal coming down the hill, and then it cleared the ditch and, of course, right into my path. And thankfully, a county council lorry coming the other way wasn't too close, because had it been, as one of the young gentlemen in the county council lorry said, if they had been a little bit closer, the deer would have been trapped and probably gone through my window, because it would have tried to escape. As it happened, it just took the side out of my car. And my sister had a similar experience a couple of years ago, and my niece wrote off her beautiful car last year. And she was extremely lucky that it wasn't more serious. So I had no understanding of how frightening it is until it actually happens to oneself, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. I just got a terrible fright, but more importantly as well to note, the two lads in the county council truck I didn't get their names. They were so kind and so really wonderful. They patched up my car. They had ties in their lorry that they attached to pieces of my car that was falling apart. And I managed, thankfully, to limp to get help, as in at 10 kilometer an hour. So a big thank you to them. I have no idea who they were, but they were just delightful.
Well, first and foremost, Noel, thank God we're able to have this conversation, and that's the first thing we say. I mean, we do know, Noel, there is a conversation taking place at the moment about deer management, and indeed just a few days ago it was confirmed that a former member of the Defence Forces, a Ballyshannon native, Declan Gillen, has been appointed as a deer management unit coordinator for Donegal to lead conversation with farmers, with the council, with landowners and others in relation to deer sightings and deer hunting. And I suppose it's a conversation that now has suddenly become for you very, very real.
Absolutely. And the most extraordinary thing is my niece rang me last night. She had a call just perhaps this week sometime, or maybe even yesterday, I can't remember when she said. And a friend of hers had spoken about coming down their drive, and there were two or three deer in their drive, and talking how beautiful they were, and they are beautiful. But it brought home to me yesterday that a conversation has to be had. I'm an animal lover in every way, but my goodness, the gentleman from the county council I referred to earlier, they say that it's quite remarkable how many of these animals are around. I use the word around, and I would actually now be quite nervous on that particular stretch of road, because where it happened is actually quite wooded and marginally remote, if you want to say. There are no houses on that little stretch of road between Glenties and Ardra that I encountered this beautiful animal. So it is most certainly a problem. And my niece, her situation occurred out Lahey, Pettigo Road area. So they are everywhere. And as you say, you don't think about it until you've encountered a situation. And so many people who called me and that I've spoken to today said, oh my goodness, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. And they are. I mean, I genuinely know, I absolutely know that I was lucky that I wasn't killed, because it was very close. If that animal, we're talking about a second's escape, that kind of a way. So a conversation certainly essential.
Noel, as I said, a pleasure to speak to you, and thank God we can have the conversation. Cars, and we often say this, and it's true, cars can be repaired, cars can be replaced.
100%.
And if there's one
Absolutely.
thing is true, there would be no replacing Noel Cunningham. Noel, have a great day.
Well, that's very... My guardian angels were on my side. And thank you, Donal, and
amen to that, Noel. It's a minute.
Have a great Thursday. God bless.
And you too, Noel. Thank you. It's a minute to 10. Time for a short break. News with Donna Marie after these.
The 9 till noon show with the Silver Tassie Hotel, the perfect venue for a Christmas get-together, serving festive lunch, afternoon tea and dinner throughout December. Follow Silver Tassie Hotel on Facebook and Instagram.
Are you renovating your home or moving house? Either way, it may require a clear-out. Before you fill your skip with items you no longer need, think circular and ask yourself, can the item be reused, given to family or friends, recycled, donated to charity, or even sold? So think before you skip it. Go to mywaste.ie for help and suggestions on how to do a clear-out in an efficient and circular way. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
At Hidden Hearing, we believe you should keep hearing it all. Keep dancing. Keep celebrating. Keep laughing. Keep being you. Call 1-800-370-000 or go to hiddenhearing.ie and book a free hearing test today. Hidden Hearing. Your hearing is our expertise.
At Maple, we know our customers are the heart of our stores. So this month, we're saying thank you. Spend €15 or more and you'll be entered to win a thank you from Maple hamper. Packed with treats to enjoy. T's and C's apply. And while you're here, why not pre-order your Christmas hampers? The perfect way to make the season extra special. Shop local at Maple Express Carrigart, Fulcara or Castlefin, or at your local Maple store. Fresh, local, convenient. Follow your local Maple store on Facebook for more.
You didn't deserve what happened. And it doesn't have to define you. You don't have to carry it alone. I know a safe place where you can tell your story. And you'll be believed. Call the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre National Helpline on 1-800 77 8888 whenever you're ready to talk. They'll be ready to listen.
Ireland's favourite folk group, the Hay Kings, are kicking off 2026 right here on Donegal with the Rocky Road Tour. Expect new songs, timeless favourites, and all the incredible energy you love. The Mount Jericho Hotel, Letterkenny, January 2nd. Get your tickets now at ticketmaster.ie or hotel reception. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. The emergency services attended the scene of a collision in Balbuffet involving a pedestrian. It happened on Main Street yesterday evening at approximately 7:25. The man in his 60s was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. A multi-agency day of action took place on Tuesday in Milford in a bid to stamp out the importation of illegal drugs. Searches under warrant under the Misuse of Drugs Acts were carried out, as well as checkpoints and inspections in the wider Milford and West Donegal area. Alex Riley reports.
A number of drug-related offences were detected and one man was arrested. He was questioned and later released pending the submission of a file. The checkpoints were conducted under the Coastal Watch Initiative, a joint operation involving Revenue's Customs Service and other partners aimed at preventing and detecting the importation of illegal drugs. These checkpoints also help raise awareness among coastal communities and those working at sea, encouraging them to report any suspicious activity. Information leaflets were distributed to motorists during the operation. The day of action was carried out under Operation Tara and involved detective units, the Divisional Drugs Unit and the Divisional Immigration Unit within An Garda Síochána, with support from Revenue Customs officers and the Workplace Relations Commission.
People wanting to trade down to smaller homes will soon be able to utilise a new loan from Bank of Ireland. It's introducing the bridging type of finance arrangement in the early months of next year. It will allow downsizers to go ahead and purchase their new smaller homes and then sell their larger family homes afterwards. Business editor Joe Lynham says it's just one of Bank of Ireland's initiatives to accelerate housing supply.
And it's part of this kind of a suite of packages that banks say that they're doing their best to help housing supply. They want to create a forum for house builders and lenders and the government to to sit around the same table to discuss how can they do their bit to improve things.
Jigsaw has seen a 34% increase in demand for its services in Donegal in the year to October. From January to October in 2024, 555 young people sought out its services. The figure jumped to 744 this year. Campaign officer Rachel White says it's a symptom of a much larger issue.
It's also worrying that there are just that level of young people reaching out. We've just seen the trend isn't just something that we're seeing in Donegal, it's something that we're also seeing across all of our services. September was our highest month yet, and then October came in and beat that again. So we saw this October 1,243 young people sought support from Jigsaw. That same month last year, that's a 24.3% increase across the board from everywhere.
A man arrested over the shooting of two National Guard members in Washington, D.C. has been identified as 29-year-old Ranmula Langlakwal. It's according to 4 senior law enforcement officials in the US. It's understood the FBI will investigate the incident as a possible act of terrorism. The National Guard members were described as critically injured. Donald Trump says whoever is responsible will pay a steep price. FDI Director Kash Patel had this update.
2 of our brave members of the National Guard and the Department of War were brazenly attacked in a horrendous act of violence. We have assembled the full force of both the federal and state and local law enforcement agencies to bear all of our resources to make sure we find the perpetrators responsible for this heinous act.
A meeting of the Oireachtas Committee on Higher Education will discuss problems facing apprenticeships. It's claimed a lack of information about them, recognition and pay equality are some of the sticking issues. The Teachers Union of Ireland says schools need to get better at promoting them, and TUI General Secretary Michael Gillespie says apprentices are in high demand.
People are going into apprenticeship a bit late in life. And we've got younger people going into it who can't afford to stay in it because we've got certain organisations paying less than the minimum wage while they're doing apprenticeships. Now, while you're doing apprenticeships, you're doing real work. People are giving you work to do while you're learning. Therefore, they need to be treated well and given a fair pay.
Having a look now to the weather, blustery or windy today, and it'll be cloudy for a time with outbreaks of rain and drizzle along with patchy mist and some hill and coastal fog. A more broad band of persistent rain will spread from the west this morning and through the early afternoon, followed by drier and brighter conditions with some sunny spells. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back with headlines at 11 o'clock.
The obituary notices for this Thursday morning, November 27th. The death has taken place of Michael Joseph Lynch, Bracky, Ardra, formerly of Coot Hill, County Cavan, reposing at McCabe's Funeral Home Ardra today from 4 p.m. until 10 p.m. House private, please. Funeral Mass on Saturday in the Church of the Holy Family Ardra at 12 noon. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to Galway Hospice. The death has taken place of Sean Donnelly, Milltown, Dublin, and formerly of Cathedral Place, Letterkenny. Sean's remains will be reposing at his brother Leo's residence at Cathedral Place, Letterkenny today from 1 p.m. until 10 p.m. with Rosary at 9 p.m. Funeral tomorrow in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny at 11 a.m. and can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Interment afterwards in New Lake Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. The death has taken place of John Flanagan of Cullacrick, Annagry, and formerly of White Rock, Belfast. His remains will repose at his home in Cullacrick today from 3 p.m. until 8 p.m. and tomorrow from 1 p.m. until 8 p.m. John's cremation will take place at Roselawn Crematorium, Belfast on Saturday at 11:20 a.m. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu to the Irish Kidney Association and to Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Kieran Rorty, funeral director. The death has occurred of Pat Carolyn, 19 Garfter Road, Castlederg. Funeral from his late residence tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m. in St Patrick's Church, Castlederg. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Mass can be viewed via the parish webcam. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. until 12 noon. The death has occurred of Paul McSorley, 61 Lonsdale, Navanny, Balbafay. Paul will be reposing at his late residence today and tomorrow from 12 noon until 10 p.m, leaving his residence on Saturday morning at 10:30 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Sesha O'Neill, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish YouTube channel. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral director's RFO. The death has taken place of Robert James Moore, Brookfield, Riversdale, Carndunna. Robert's remains are reposing at his home today from 11 a.m. till 9 p.m. with a shuttle bus in operation from 5 p.m. until 9 p.m. Funeral from there tomorrow at 1:40 p.m. for 2 p.m. funeral service in Hillhead Presbyterian Church. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only and donations in lieu, if desired, to Carndunna Community Hospital Patients Comfort Fund, care of any family member, or Eamon McLaughlin Funeral Directors. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio.
Dazzle your guests this Christmas with Aldi's specially selected range.
Discover amazing appetizers like flavoured smoked salmon, seasonal spectaculars like Bord Bia quality assured slow-cooked Irish silverside ham, just $19.99, in store December 5th. And dreamy desserts like the ultimate melting baubles, indulgent chocolate with a salted caramel pouring sauce, in store December 19th. If you love Christmas, you love Aldi Specially Selected, while stocks last.
It's hour 2 of the 9 till noon show on this Thursday morning. A few of your comments before we go any further with regards to our discussion with Councillor Kieran Brogan regarding Nowdoc and the ambulance service. Caller says Nowdoc don't want to be bothered. They wouldn't send a fella to the ED with a cut on the nose to be stitched. He sat all night until quarter past. I beg your pardon. I'm going to start that again. Nowdoc sent a fella to the emergency department with a cut on his nose to be stitched. He sat all night until 7:15 to see a doctor. All it needed was to be cleaned and paper stitched. If people could see a doctor, there'd be far less people in ambulances. If you call a doctor's surgery, you're lucky to get the receptionist, if they even answer, and they'll diagnose your problem. Be easier getting an appointment in the White House with Trump than seeing a doctor. Since COVID, we can't get into surgery. Door locked, ring the bell and wait. It shouldn't be allowed. All doors in local surgeries should be open to patients to walk in, so says a caller. Another caller says, it's unbelievable trying to blame the patients for deficiencies in the ambulance service. This is coming from someone who's a member of a party which was in government for decades and consistently failed to properly fund the health system. Caller says, I think it should be made very clear that if someone believes they need an ambulance and they need to go to the ED, they should go. I would worry that this conversation could put people off going. Absolutely. I mean, if there is an emergency, yes, you should absolutely call an ambulance. I went to the ED with chest pains after I had tests done and they were clear. I was then lectured about wasting doctors' times. Now, no, I mean, in fairness, it does have to be said, if you believe that there is a cardiac episode or something like that, absolutely you call an ambulance immediately. That goes without saying, I would have thought. With regards to Christmas markets, a caller says, over the past number of years, Councillor Jack Murray has made a big deal about the Christmas markets in Swan Park and Buncrana and how they'd be a big crowd puller. Why this year do we have to pay to get into the same markets? Caller says, Enoch Burke needs to be nominated for the 2026 Nobel Peace Prize for standing up for religious liberty and freedom and by opposing the state grooming of vulnerable children in Irish schools. Who out there is in a position to nominate Mr. Burke for the Nobel Peace Prize, because Enoch has now set the international standard for caring about vulnerable children and religious freedom of thought by his saint-like suffering. The Catholic Church should likewise declare Enoch Burke a living saint for the courageous example he has set. Even though Enoch is a Protestant, religious affiliation shouldn't matter in the slightest. Another caller says that the new migration changes are weak and watered and mean nothing. It was always 5 years for someone to become a citizen. The UK government say 20 years. Ireland is doing nothing to stop illegal immigrants coming in. People here can't get jobs or homes, but just bring the world in. No mention of housing the homeless. And if you're Irish and live in Donegal, it's so hard to get a job. I've been out of work since June and I apply for loads of jobs. Employers don't even view your application. I know this because Indeed shows you if your application gets a view. Lots of people are out of work. The government and other so-called opposition just want more migrants to get votes at election time, as they know that people like me see them for what they are. Unfairness is everywhere. Young Irish people can leave their own country to be replaced by illegal migrants, which will keep wages low. The government never takes care of their own. All they want is praise from the EU and the UN. And that comes into us from James. Another caller says, great news that Minister Jim Callaghan is changing the laws in relation to immigration. Good to see at last people are realising that only so many can be catered for. We have a major housing and health crisis, and yet many of these new citizen seekers are being given priority over taxpayers. Back to the health service and ambulance. Caller says, I think it's a disgrace that the health service is the way it is. What I took from Kieran Brogan's interview is that he is frightening old people from contacting the ambulance service. People are struggling. I don't think it's fair to scaremonger people sitting at home who will now stay at home sick because they don't think they're sick enough for an ambulance. In fairness, I think what was being said was that people should be visited in their own homes, either by Nowdoc or by the Pathfinder service, should be helped in their own home, and should not told not to call an ambulance, not told not to come into ED, but given the service in their own home. That means they don't need to go to the ED. I think in fairness, that's what Kieran Brogan was saying, and it's a slight misquote now to say otherwise. Another caller, and again back to Enoch Burke. Enoch was forced out of the school to do something against his conscience. This is the root cause of the ongoing case. The appeal is being kicked down the road because, according to our constitution, Enoch is being denied his rights and is being unduly punished, tortured and ostracised because of the woke authorities in this country. All people have to do is study the Cass report if we're serious about safeguarding the futures and well-being of our children. Would motorists start obeying the law and stopping on the yellow box on the hospital roundabout when travelling up the De Valera Road, the big hill at the fire station, heading toward the mountain top at rush hour in the mornings and evenings? The traffic coming down Glencar and out of the hospital can't get away. Normally on these issues I am absolutely impartial and will pass no comment, but speaking as someone who comes down from Glencar to that roundabout a couple of times a day, here. Caller says, you do not use your phone with eyes down when driving. There's always the new technology of Bluetooth and numbers on the front of the screen. Now, there was a question asked. There are containers arriving daily and eliminating parking. It's really sad. People can't move their cars for breaks. People that have appointments must be so frustrated. Now, that was the question, which I believe is in relation, I take it, to the hospital, and I am assuming this is in relation to the ongoing works that are taking place in the vicinity of the hospital. Now, there is a response from the HSC. Letterkenny University Hospital has seen an increase in the range of services offered, staffing levels and activity in recent years, which has led to pressure on car parking spaces. We understand the challenge this presents to some staff and patients. In addition to our service-driven pressures, LUH has a number of construction projects in progress at present, and these projects require temporary site compounds to function effectively. Those projects will be ongoing for the next 6 months, and while they're very welcome in improving our facilities, they will have an impact on parking. We are in discussions with HSE Capital and Estates to extend our car parks, and we do hope to progress these matters in early 2026. That's a response from the HSE, and indeed we know there are a lot of projects going on in the hospital itself. Now, one big project actually that's taking place at the moment is a major rewiring and electrical improvement program. Now, that's something that won't necessarily be a big major thing that's going to be seen by the public, but that is something that very potentially will have a huge impact on the hospital and the efficiency with which it can provide its services. It's 17 minutes past 10. Many people will have been awaiting the bingo numbers on this Thursday morning, and as it's a Thursday, I think Thursday is jackpot day as far as I recall. I'm going to presume it is, so without any further ado, I'll invite you to grab your books, grab your pencils, and in just a moment we'll hand you over to Callus.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 27th of November. Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €11,600 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S19. It's game number 48. The jackpot number is 19. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 7, 84, 16, 24, 82, 40, 86, 58, 20, and finally 23. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Chadwick's Letterkenny are hosting a big breakfast morning this Friday the 28th of November in aid of Breast Cancer Ireland, with some of their key suppliers in store ready to talk trade and DIY. Amazing deals on the day will include DeWalt Combi brushless drills, €149, Atlas oak flooring 12mm, $12.99 a square yard, 10 bags of salt tablets for €100, 20% of all mascot workwear, plus many more great offers. So call in this Friday, the 28th, to Chadwick's in Letterkenny and support Breast Cancer Ireland. Chadwick's. Let's get it done.
My Future Fund. The auto-enrolment scheme is coming. Employers, getting ready is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Complete your profile on the My Future Fund portal in December. 2. Set up a payment method. 3. Run payroll as usual, contributions start in January. Remember, auto-enrolment is a legal obligation. And don't forget to let your employees know if they're enrolled. Find out more at gov.ie/employers/AE. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
This Black Friday, Around the Northwest is live from Watson Hire in Letterkenny. It's a day of deals, and that's exactly what you'll find there. Not just on Friday, but on the days leading up to it. Well, we'll be sniffing out some of the bargains, and we'll have some tasty giveaways on the day in store, and if you're listening in. So, listen in or pop in this Friday the 28th to Around the Northwest, live from Watson Hire, listening in Letterkenny.
This is Dr. Colin Henry, Chief Clinical Officer for the HSE. Right now, flu is circulating widely in our communities. Flu can cause severe illness for many people. It's not too late to get vaccinated to help protect you and the people around you. To check which vaccines are recommended for you, visit hse.ie or talk to a participating GP or pharmacist today. Thank you from the HSE.
Your one-stop shop this Christmas. Gift vouchers for the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa are available online at silvertassiehotel.com or from hotel reception. The Silver Tassie, proud sponsors of today's show.
And you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show on this Thursday morning. A correspondence we received from a listener. I have a child who has a drug problem. I don't know what to do and what the right thing to do is. My view and my wife's views are different. I don't think he needs help yet. He probably wouldn't be at a stage where he would accept help. He thinks it's just sociable. But it's gotten to the stage that it's every night he's out. He's not working and has no desire to work, but he's a good-natured young person. Where do parents turn to for the right advice? Has anyone else been through this and know how to help? I'm more open than his mother, but I still can't talk about it openly. This has been ongoing for over 2 years. He was in denial. We managed to prove it was going on with at-home drug tests, which are very good as it shows up in the urine. Where do we go from here? Now, we had one or two responses. One caller said, contact the Family Support Services in the AFI Alcohol Forum Ireland, who have a dedicated excellent service available to family members affected by alcohol and other drugs. This is confidential, non-judgmental and free. And I will give you a number for that service in just a moment. But we were also contacted by Thomas Campbell, who joins us on the line. Thomas, good morning.
Good morning.
Thomas, you yourself are in recovery from addiction, and you heard that comment from our caller, and you can offer a very unique perspective because you were where their son currently is.
Yes, 100%.
What advice would you give?
So for me, I was at the stage that they're at. So it was always pointed out to me that I had an issue with drink. I was told from my early 20s that, look, you need to look at your drinking. There's a real issue here. You're drinking most nights of the week. But for me, I was always in denial. I was always in denial that there was an issue. I put it down to where I lived, the age it was the thing to do. No, this is what my friends are doing. But I couldn't see that my drinking was a lot more escalated compared to everybody else's. No, it's very hard for family because the outside can only see there's an issue, except from the person that's in the addiction. They're always the last to find out that there is a problem with the addiction. And the hardest part with a family is that you have to wait for the person that's in the addiction to see it for themselves that there is an issue. And for them to get that. Now, I went to Northlands for addiction around about 10 years ago, but I'd done it for somebody else. I didn't at the time have any intention of stopping. I didn't see that there was a problem. And for me to accept that I needed help was never going to happen. No, that only came 4 years later, whenever I really had rock bottom with my addiction. I ended up in hospital 3 times within the 1 week. Hooked up the IV drips because my body couldn't tick with the amount of alcohol that I was taking. And it was only at that stage where it was sort of put to me, if you don't do something now, you're not going to be here for much longer, that I realised that I needed to get help. I needed to reach out and sort of ask for the help to be able to tackle my addiction.
What that father is saying then in that comment, that the father effectively doesn't believe the son has spiraled down far enough to actually realise the situation he's in. Do you believe that is by and large accurate?
Yes. No. For somebody in addiction, I would say 90-95% of the times you have to hit rock bottom before you can get help. No, you might get bouts of sobriety in between times, but I believe that you have to hit rock bottom before you can get help.
You yourself are now a counsellor with Northlands. I mean, you've gone completely, or you're a support worker. Sorry, it's a different thing.
A support worker, yeah. So after I done Northlands, I done the treatment within Northlands. They offer a 6-week residential treatment. I was on there whenever COVID hit, so I only done 3.5 weeks. And then went on to do their 2-year aftercare program. And then after the 2 years, I was invited back as a volunteer, which I then volunteered for 1.5 years before a full-time position came up then as a support worker, which I've now been doing for the last 2 years.
What advice would you give to the father in this situation? Because at the moment, he believes he's playing what is effectively almost a horrendously hopeless waiting game.
Yeah. So I would suggest that he needs to understand what addiction is. Understand that addiction is an illness. No, it's a different. The way I always sort of put it is, we have a different way of working within our minds, and whenever that need or thirst for the alcohol or the drug takes out over, there's no stopping it. There's no way of changing that at that time. It's only when you realise there's a problem and you start to get the help that you can see that there's an issue. So I would suggest that he goes to somebody that can offer family support, who can give him the help and advice of how to deal with the situations that are going to be arising, what's best for the care that he can give. Now, sometimes, like for me, it was a really hard love from my family that helped me realise that there was a problem. And it's very tough for a family, for a loving family. They turn around and turn their back on somebody, but sometimes that's what's needed. But he definitely needs to go to somebody with that offers family support. To be around all their family members. Family members are always forgotten about here. Of how much support and help that they give to somebody within the active addiction. So to be around other people that are going through the same scenarios, that they can get help and support and guidance from people that have been there, is the best thing for them at this moment in time.
Thomas Campbell, thank you very much indeed for that perspective, and all the best to you in your ongoing recovery, and all the best to those you work with as well. Thomas, who back in 2020 was a resident in Northlands, now is a support worker working for Northlands. And thank you indeed, Thomas. At this stage, I will give out the number for the Alcohol Forum Ireland service. This is their family support service. They can be contacted on 074 912 5596. That's 074 912 5596. That's the service offered by Alcohol Forum Ireland to family members affected by alcohol or other drugs. And what Thomas said there rings true, that it's very difficult for the actual families themselves. Another caller says, I've been through the system with a son who had addiction issues. My son's been into addiction rehab twice. Lack of motivation is all part of the addiction. Very often they tell you they want what you want to hear, but they do the opposite. Even in the rehab centre, he failed the drugs test a few times. The second rehab was different. He does have multiple addictions. He didn't remove himself from his circle of friends who were a bad group to be with. It's a very long process and very sore on parents who have very little support. And then another caller has suggested to us, if you just bear with me, I'll just grab. It's a very difficult situation. From my experience, there is no right or wrong answer as such. It depends on the individual until the person in active addiction decides they want to stop for them. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter what anybody else does. For the parents, my advice is do what feels right to you, but try to get support for yourself, as this is a very difficult situation. Decide what you do and don't want to support, and set boundaries to protect yourself, and then be firm. Ultimately, as counterproductive as it seems, the only person you can control is yourself. Be kind to yourself, and remember, self-care is not selfish. Again, I will repeat the number. Alcohol Forum Ireland, their dedicated family members service for family members who are affected by alcohol and other drugs. The number is 074 912 5596. We'll take a short break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Donegal's multi-award winning wedding venue, the Silver Tassie Hotel, planning dream weddings for generations. Email weddings at silvertassiehotel.ie for information on their brand new wedding packages.
Nutria's Super Beef Gold ATP is now on promotion at your local Homeland store. Buy 10 bags, get one free, or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. Nutria's Super Beef Gold ATP delivers frame and thrive in all ages of cattle. Contact your local Homeland store or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrias.ie for full product details.
Introducing Flow for Men, my new fragrance collection of products created to keep you feeling fresh and looking sharp. The ideal gift for the man in your life. Find Flow in pharmacies nationwide or online at flowbybo.com. Start every day with confidence.
Who's making something wonderful at Lidl this year?
Hi, I'm David Brett from Oak Park. We pride ourselves on supplying award-winning hams to Lidl each Christmas. We select Board Bia quality assured Irish pork. We naturally smoke them using beechwood chips.
Oak Park's Board Bia approved ham joints from $9.99. Lidl, more to value.
This Christmas, make it magical with a top name fragrance or gift set from McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Choose from names like Clarins, Burberry and Gucci. Also, Dolce & Gabbana, Calvin Klein, Flowerbomb and many more, all at great prices. From timeless classics to the latest designer scents, you'll find the perfect gift for everyone on your list. Shop in store or online at mcgees.ie. McGee's, where the best costs less.
Every time you choose public transport, you're playing your part in reducing Ireland's transport emissions. Since 2022, the Connecting Ireland Rural Mobility Plan has introduced over 180 new or enhanced bus routes across the TFI network. 8 million journeys were made along these routes last year, connecting towns and villages near you and supporting communities across Ireland to make sustainable choices. It all adds up. Wherever you're going, your journey counts. Visit gov.ie/your journey counts. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Zeus in Letterkenny is moving into a new phase of growth, and we have full-time, permanent job opportunities in production, quality control and maintenance. We offer competitive pay, great benefits and a fantastic work environment. Zeus is a trusted partner in the medical device industry. Our work enhances and saves lives every day. Join us and contribute to something meaningful. Visit workatzeus.com today. That's work at ZEUS.com.
Country Sundays at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny. This Sunday 30th, it's Mike Denver and his band. Dancing 9 to 11, admission €20. Coming Sunday 21st of December, Michael English. And Sunday 28th of December, Claudia Buckley. But this Sunday, it's Mike Denver at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Now, yesterday, if you were listening to the news in the evening, you'll be aware that Minister for Housing James Brown received Cabinet approval to publish the Remediation of Dwellings Damaged by the Use of Defective Concrete Blocks Amendment Bill 2025. As we know, several thousand homes, many in Donegal, but also in Mayo, Clare, Limerick and Sligo, among others, have been affected by the defective blocks crisis. There is a scheme in place and a bill was promised to give effect to a number of increases and amendments and changes. That bill has now been published. It'll come to the Dáil, we understand, in the coming weeks. Well, one person that'll be taking a very keen interest in that, obviously, is Deputy Charles Ward of the 100% Redress Party, and he joins us this morning on Zoom. Charles, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. Good morning, all the listeners.
Charles, put this into context. How important is this amendment bill that's been announced by Minister Brown? Because we know there have been promises of extra money, of widening of caps and other things, and they have to be given legal expression by these amendments. Now, you do have some reservations that they don't go far enough. We'll come to that in a moment. But put this into perspective. How important is it that this clears the Dáil as quickly as possible?
Well, it is important that it does clear the Dáil, but it had the potential to be so much more, you know. So it is important, but I want to emphasise that the fact of the matter is this will clear the Dáil now, and they will be able to receive their payments in January, maybe February. Okay, but the irony is why would you do this to people? Why was this not done earlier? Why did they not have this in place so that the people could have a Christmas with the fact is that they had the 10% retrospective payment? It's all so cruel as far as I'm concerned, and it's just another. The fact of the matter is the potential was there, and I feel the potential was lost, and they just do it to suit themselves basically when it comes to these amendments, and it's not for the good of the people, it's for the good of the exchequer.
Is this just the glacial pace of bureaucracy, or do you believe this is actually, as you've suggested there, a deliberate way of saving money in the 2025 budget?
Yeah, it's a deliberate way. Now, there's a defective concrete scheme in place, okay? But there's a levy on every single house that is built in Ireland now because of this. And that money, we don't even get, well, it comes in, but it's not broken down of where's this spent and how is this spent, because there's, as far as I'm concerned, there's no accountability at government level when it comes to the defective concrete scheme. It's basically what you've got going on here now is you've got people that will be able to avail of the 10% retrospective payment, but you have 43 families that have been abandoned by the state, abandoned. And I fight for everybody, people who get it and people who are left behind. And to me, the 43 people that are left behind, they're not going to get this. They're not going to be able to avail of this after they were promised, and a press release and everything from the government. There's a lot of things side by side, no side by side. I mean, what does that tell you? We're talking about a government that, as far as I'm concerned, are cruel.
And just to clarify the side-by-side reference, that means effectively you can have, and indeed we do now have situations where two houses affected by defective blocks, one, they're semi-detached, they're joined, one is knocked and undergoing the process, the other is still standing.
No, Donal.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm getting right. That's right.
Side by side would be somebody could build on a footprint of land that they have the room to. So, for example, there's a couple with a disabled child, and their house is adapted for that child, and there's nowhere for them to move. So, ideally, build the house next door to, yes, and then move them over, and to leave that. And say that that will be at the behest of the housing minister is cruel, simply cruel. You know, the families should be able to move forward and get their house up and built. They've been waiting years and years and years, and unfortunately, this amendment, it just basically throws that out the window.
And in terms of the early starters, the 43 families that as you say, have been abandoned, there was it's a date in March, I think, of last year that if they had started before, is it March 24? If they started before that, then they don't qualify. But that date appears to be arbitrary.
Yeah, it's plucked out of the sky. It's absolutely nonsense. It's a framework for cruelty, as far as I'm concerned. We told them at the Housing Committee that we wanted that date scrapped. We wanted that date gone, and they would take it on board. But no, they haven't taken it on board at all, because what they've done is basically they've abandoned 43 people, because of a date that makes absolutely no sense. It was the date that the caps and rates were introduced or something like that, said in the Housing Committee. Absolute nonsense. It's about will, and I keep on saying this. If the government had the will to do this, this would be sorted in the morning, and they don't. And they just keep on brushing it and making us wait and wait and wait, pushing it down the line, wait. And it's just the irony is where I can understand people being happy at getting the 10% retrospective and actually being able to go on with their lives and move out of debt for some of them. But the majority of people in this scheme will incur tens upon thousands of euros of debt. And ones that are getting this 10% retrospective payment, that will go off to paying off certain amounts of it, but they're still in debt. And anybody that says that they're getting out of this scheme and it's working, well, You haven't come to me yet, and I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I've been waiting for people to come to me and show me this is working, this is working. It isn't working. Yeah. And the government know this, and it's all about flashing out the figures, 2.2 billion, and this scheme is working. But the numbers indicate that it's not. In 3 years, we built just over 200 houses, 300 houses on the waiting, and most of them are partial remediation. So how's that a success when we have to go and revisit this again in the future? It's scandalous.
One of the things that concerns me most personally is the number of people I speak to who haven't even started. They're not even on the scheme yet because it's just, in terms of upfront costs between the initial testing and getting a contractor and all that, there is so much to be done that they're saying to me, and I had a conversation as recently as last night with someone who isn't on the scheme, and part of the reason is they just don't have the wherewithal to start, never mind finish.
Donal, it was like this. I said to Simon Harris last night when we were talking about the amendments, I pleaded with him last night. I said, in Solomon's Court, there's 12 to 1,400 houses all affected. If this scheme kicked off tomorrow properly, and 300 of them houses out of the 1,200 were to go forward, where do they people go to live? There's absolutely nowhere for them. Nowhere. They've been abandoned. And I can understand there's an apprehension about moving forward because it is a humanitarian crisis and it's not been recognised as a humanitarian crisis. You'll see all the politicians of the day in the government coming out and saying, we've invested this much money, we've invested that much money, because the narrative is that they're putting the money up into Donegal. It's not anybody in Donegal's fault what's happened here. It's a government failure. And the government need to look at this as a humanitarian crisis and address it as a humanitarian crisis, because we've been talking about this for years. The numbers indicate there's thousands upon thousands of families. Where are they going to live and where are they going to go?
One of the points you and colleagues in 100% Redress Party have made is that this is now the third redress bill that's gone through the Dáil, and it's, you believe, inevitable that there will have to be at least one more in the not too distant future. And your argument is, why not just sit down, figure out exactly what needs to be done and implement it now, because if we don't, we're just going to have to keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back.
This is exactly it. The fact of the matter is we've seen two failures, okay, and we're going into a third now. Waiving pre-legislation scrutiny and rushing forward this amendment so that people could get the 10% retrospective. I can understand that end of it, but then throwing other things into it, it's a dirty tactic as far as I was concerned. And what it done was it pushed forward legislation, pre-legislation scrutiny, couldn't scrutinise it, couldn't look at it and then push it forward. Mistakes of the past coming in again. But this time it's a wee bit different because this time I'm there and I'm holding them accountable. And it's nearly like a thorn in their side. And they know that we're not going anywhere. We're pushing this. And what they've got going on now, and there is a worry, down in Wexford, there's a pyrite issue currently going on. And there's a pyrite issue in Donegal. Geographically at other ends of the island of Ireland, and there's two issues going on of the exact same defective concrete. And they are about 5 to 10 years behind us, but they will catch up and it will sweep. And what I'm telling them now is please address this now, or you'll be playing back videos of what I've said in years and he was right. And doesn't give me satisfaction because I'm fighting for the people and I see what's coming down the line and they don't seem to see it or they don't seem to care. And that's the thing that really gets to everybody on the ground. The fact of the matter is Donegal, geographically isolated, a humanitarian crisis, and Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are quite happy to say we're investing money here, but they're not. We're at the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the defective concrete crisis.
And the pre-legislative scrutiny thing is important because we didn't get pre-legislative scrutiny before the last bill that came in over the course of the last government. And the argument was all the mistakes in that bill that have perpetuated into the current situation came because there wasn't that pre-legislative scrutiny where the government could have been given a steer and there could have been very strong pointers given as to where there were mistakes and where there were potential pitfalls. You're saying, not only have they not learned from that experience, but they've now rushed through these amendments, which ultimately, without pre-legislative scrutiny, means that not only are those mistakes being perpetuated, but new mistakes are being made.
New mistakes will be made. The fact of the matter is, this is really solvable. The 82 amendments were originally voted down. The majority of them could go into a new defective concrete scheme and make it work. And the people on the ground are the people that you should be engaging with, but they're not. There's nobody from Fine Gael or Fianna Fáil engaging with anybody on the ground because they're dealing with the civil servants who are actually controlling this, and they're going, yes, that's a good idea. The lack of will is the biggest problem we have, and the government need to waken up to this because we are heading for a humanitarian disaster if it's not already started. Because, as I said to you, if you take, for example, places in Carndonagh, places in Buncrana, places in Letterkenny, hundreds and hundreds of houses are deteriorating. They're not going to be here in 10 years' time. Where are their families going to go? Where are the people going to go? We're not building enough houses in Donegal. I keep on saying this. People will stay and they'll stand in front of 12 or 13 houses getting built. Well done, well done. I can understand that. But we need hundreds, if not thousands of houses in Donegal because we have a population that's grown and we have nowhere to go, and there's a humanitarian crisis on the way with the defective concrete scheme.
Yeah. Deputy Charles Ward, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning. It's obviously one we, the programme and the news, will be keeping an ongoing eye on, and we'll be doing so for, it seems, many years to come. Thank you very much indeed. Going to take a short break. Back after these. Charles, thank you.
Teddy's Bar at the Silver Tassie Hotel, the ideal spot to catch up for cosy Christmas drinks by the fire and enjoy live music. The Silver Tassie Hotel, proud sponsors of today's 9 till noon show.
Attention all golfers, Black Friday is in full swing at McGurk's Golf. Enjoy massive savings on all the biggest brands, TaylorMade, Under Armour, Adidas, Callaway and more. Whether you're shopping for the perfect gift or topping up your golf gear, McGurk's Golf has you covered. Don't miss out. Visit McGurk's Letterkenny Retail Park today. McGurk's Golf, your game, our passion.
Department confirms cuts to farm payments. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we reveal what schemes are in the firing line for livestock farmers. Widespread tagging discrepancies exposed in Brazil. Weanling records smashed at Carrick Winter Fair. Why a Revo and Dale Farm merger is on hold. And are there too many beef factories in Ireland? Never miss a story by getting an Irish Farmers Journal home delivery subscription. Sign up today and get a free farm bucket full of Irish Farmers Journal merchandise. Visit ifj.ie/bucket.
There's more to share at your Christmas party with Dunnes Stores. Mix and match 3 for 2 on a huge selection of party dishes, like our indulgent range of cheeses, and brand new options like chicken sliders, king prawn toasties, and frozen popcorn prawns or mac and cheese bites. And better yet, you can save more with your 5 off 25 voucher. Make Christmas for everyone at Dunnes Stores. Terms and conditions apply. Vouchers can be used on next grocery shop.
The Three Amigos, Jimmy Buckley, Robert Mazzell and Patrick Feeney are back on tour. This award-winning show is full of laughter, music and song. See The Three Amigos live. Clonry Hotel, Letterkenny, Monday, January 26th. Tickets priced $39.50, now on sale at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie, where extra charges may apply. The Three Amigos live. This show is not to be missed.
Easy Living Furniture's massive Black Friday sale is now on, but the countdown is on because the sale ends this Friday. Enjoy up to 60% off everything, including sofas, dining, bedroom, mattresses and accessories. Explore our magical Christmas department for festive inspiration while grabbing incredible Black Friday savings. Shop the massive Black Friday sale in Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry. Don't miss these unbeatable Black Friday deals.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover Christmas gift ideas for everyone on your list, from trending beauty to memorable Secret Santa gifts. Visit us in Ballybuffet to explore our extensive range of gifts or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Blustery or windy today with cloud for a time, outbreaks of rain and drizzle along with some patchy mist and some hill and coastal fog as well. A band of more persistent rain spreading in from the west over the course of the morning and early afternoon. That'll be followed by drier and brighter conditions with sunny spells. The rest of today dry apart from some well scattered blustery showers, those mainly in the west. It'll be mild with highest temperatures 11 to 14 degrees Celsius. A little cooler as the rain clears. Southwest winds strengthening through the day with winds reaching gale or near gale force near the west coast. Now, the Donegal Disabled Person Association has been launched. The idea is that they will be consulted and there'll be nothing about us in Donegal without us. The association takes their representative role very seriously, holding ourselves accountable to our members, we're told. Now, the initial AGM of the Donegal Disabled Persons Organisation, DPO, will take place at Cara House in Letterkenny at 1:30 on Tuesday next, December 2nd. It's the day before the International Day of Disabled Persons. And I'm delighted to be joined on Zoom this morning by John Doherty, who's a spokesperson. John, a very good morning to you.
Morning, Donal.
Good to speak to you, John. John, it's an important event, this AGM, because effectively what you're saying is, if you're going to be making decisions about what affects me, please consult with me and my representatives before you do it.
Yeah, that's really what we're about. You know, it's really what like, we're a lot of time we're disabled by our barriers. We're not disabled by impairment. So that's what we live as the social model, and that we want to be consulted at what happens to us and with us at all times.
In terms of the AGM that's taking place, John, obviously in you got to want involvement from the people most affected, which are disabled people, and there are a variety of disabilities, there are a variety of needs, and you'll be hopeful, I'm sure, to get a very wide variety of people involved in the DPO going into the future.
Yeah, we hope that we get a large variety of people with various impairments, but we also would like disabled people from all across the county. So that would include, you know, a lot of people who may not see themselves as disabled, but in fact they are. You know, I'll say people with mental health issues and so on and so forth.
From the point of view of where you stand at the moment, I take it there's an ad hoc committee in place. Are you looking at actually electing a formal committee now next week?
That's hopefully, yeah. Our plan is to elect the usual committee, the chairperson, the secretary, treasurer, and so on and so forth. Yeah, that's really what we're hoping to do.
Now, if anyone wants to join, they can email DPO for Donegal. That's DPO, the letters, for the number, Donegal @gmail.com. Or they can call Pippa, who's doing some coordinating. And Pippa is on 087 477 0965. I will put those numbers on our social media as well. But as you said, John, the meeting taking place in Letterkenny, that's the major population centre. But this is not a Letterkenny association. This is a Donegal association.
Yeah, so we're looking for people from all over Donegal. You know, Donegal being the county it is, it can be difficult to travel, but we'd like people to attend if they're in a position to do so.
In terms of your contacts with people like the TDs, Donegal County Council, I take it that process has started already?
Yeah. So we have been contacting various organisations, the County Council, the ATU, you know, and various other organisations that would be working with disabled people on a regular basis.
Now, we know that Donegal County Council, for instance, does have strategic committees that discuss policy, discuss needs. I mean, I'm sure you would like to see the DPO invited to take a place on some of those committees that would directly involve you, that you would actually have a seat at the table when policy is being discussed.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's really what it is, because a lot of the time, like as the statement says, like nothing about us and Donegal without us. So a lot of the time that happens, not only Donegal, but across the country, where disabled people are left out of a lot of conversations, and then their needs aren't met as a result. So if people are to ask us what we want and what we need, we'd be able to tell them, you know, basically where the barriers are, and then give them solutions as how they can rectify them.
Yeah. So just to repeat, John, the meeting is taking place, AGM of the DPO, Donegal Disabled Persons Organisation. It's in Cara House in Letterkenny at 1:30 on Tuesday next, December 2nd.
Yep. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
John, hope we get a great turnout from right across the county, and I'll just repeat the contact details. Anyone wants to join Donegal DPO, you can email DPO for Donegal, that's DPO the letters for the number @gmail.com, or you can call Pippa on 087 477 0965. John, thanks indeed for speaking to us this morning, and all the best, and we hope you get a good turnout, as we say, from right across the county of Donegal. That's the DPO AGM taking place on Tuesday next, December 2nd. Now, just one or two comments and questions. The caller says, is anyone who started building in October 2024 entitled to the extra 10% we are still building? My understanding is yes. The cut-off point for that was March of last year. And as Deputy Ward said, in the region of 43 families have been excluded because they started before March of last year. But if you started after March of last year, yes, you can indeed retrospectively claim that 10%. Caller says, I'm curious to know if you're aware of the broadband internet outage in Gorta Hork. Although not affecting the village itself, many people in the Keeldrum, Fannaboy and surrounding areas have had no internet since last week. This was caused by a driver crashing into a telegraph pole sometime around about Tuesday, the 11th of November. Now, Air, formerly Aircom, were informed, but there's been little or no communication since, which is strange because they effectively own and operate the telegraph broadband lines. Other internet providers have been in touch with their customers, we're told, such as Vodafone, but Air have stayed silent. Many complaints and queries have been directed to them, yet they have remained tight-lipped on the matter. And caller asks, why is this corner of Donegal swiftly becoming a third world country? Why does no one seem to notice or care? Are we not important enough to take seriously? Why does it take over a week to erect a telegraph pole? So asks our caller, excuse me. I want to mention, by the way, Lifeline, the Inishowen Domestic Violence Service, is holding a coffee morning. It's taking place tomorrow at Wesley Hall in Carndonagh between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Everyone is welcome, coffee, tea and light refreshments, with all proceeds going directly to their counselling and support services. And this is all part of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Now, the International Day Against Gender-Based Violence was earlier this week, and there are now 16 days during which this issue is being highlighted. We'll be going to news very shortly. Just want to tell you before we do that we do have a quiz on the programme, because our sponsors this week are the Silver Tassie Hotel, and in particular their spa, and you could win an indulgent Yonka Delight package at the Seascape Spa, valued at €155. It's a luxurious 2.5-hour spa package, including an aromatic steam session and cocoon room, a hot towel, foot and back cleanse, a Yonka back massage and hydrating facial, pressure point face and scalp massage, warm oil foot massage, and finishing off with snooze room relaxation time and refreshments. And to be in with a chance of winning that prize on Friday, simply answer the question, which of these is not traditionally associated with Christmas? A, mistletoe, B, candy canes, or C, fireworks? And to enter, just text or WhatsApp your answer, name and address to 086 60 20 5000. And that number obviously good for your texts and comments as well, and your WhatsApp messages. So the competition, courtesy of our sponsors, the Silver Tassie Hotel and Spa, is what's not associated with Christmas: mistletoe, candy canes, or fireworks. We're back with the headlines after these.
Treat someone special to luxurious relaxation time in the Seascape Spa at the Silver Tassie, offering indulgent treatments, unique gifts and Christmas gift vouchers. 07491 25619. Seascape Spa at the Silver Tassie, proud sponsors of today's show.
My Future Fund. The auto-enrolment scheme is coming. Employers, getting ready is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Complete your profile on the My Future Fund portal in December. 2. Set up a payment method. 3. Run payroll as usual. Contributions start in January. Remember, auto-enrolment is a legal obligation. And don't forget to let your employees know if they're enrolled. Find out more at gov.ie/employers/AE. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
With the phasing out of R32 refrigerant and heat pumps, discover next-generation comfort with the new award-winning Grant Airona R290 heat pump, delivering exceptional performance with quiet operation. The Grant Airona R290, heating for the future. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.ie.
In ESB, táimid chumanta de phobal. Shilling fága willimid brodul, as takeoch de hort de Hunskedal, nos gorgin céadfach valle vorne, trí chiiste sochar pobl na vermacha guihe. Nílan sin ach ballach aháin, an estimate breis €5 billion I Hunskedal phobal chuile bhliain, fud na héireann. Fói ólas breise faoin ar diomantas de phobal ag esb.ie/communities.
O'Neill Sportswear Warehouse Clearance Sale is back in Strabane. From Wednesday the 26th
Running through to Saturday the 29th of November, shop huge savings on your favourite products just in time for the festive season. Jerseys, jackets, half zips and so much more. All at incredible prices, perfect for Christmas gifts and stocking fillers. Hurry while stocks last. O'Neill Sportswear Warehouse clearance sale, Strabane from Wednesday the 26th through to Saturday the 29th of November.
Hi folks, Nathan Carter here. Catch myself on the band with our Christmas show at the Millennium Forum, Derry City on Friday the 12th of December. Last few tickets now available from the box office and from nathancartermusic.com.
Have you got a great idea for your coastal community? The Flag North would like a word. We have significant funding for projects around Donegal that will help our coastline. Join us at the Free Flag North application workshop at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny, December 2nd, with sessions at 10:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. Learn what gets funded, get help with your application and book one-to-ones with our team. Find out more at bim.ie. Your coast, your community, your call.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It's 11 o'clock, time for headlines. Good morning, Ryan Brawley.
Thanks, Donal. Good morning. Deputy Pearse Doherty has been speaking in the Dáil regarding the killing of Donegal man Michael Leonard in 1973. The 24-year-old was shot dead by the RUC near the Donegal-Fermanagh border. He urged Minister Helen McEntee to continue raising this case with the British government. Noel Cunningham says he was left shaken after colliding with a deer near Glanties yesterday. There have long been calls to see the animal culled across Donegal on account of the high levels of traffic incidents and farm disturbances with the animal. A national deer management strategy is in the process of being rolled out, with Declan Gillen being appointed as Deer Management Unit Coordinator for Donegal in the past week. Emergency services attended the scene of a collision in Balbafay involving a pedestrian. It happened on Main Street at approximately 7:25 p.m. The man in his 60s was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. The Taoiseach says improvements are on the way in the provision of services for children with disabilities. Micheál Martin told the Dáil that the vacancies in counties like Donegal and Mayo reflect a problem with recruitment rather than a shortage of funding, saying extra college places are being created in a bid to increase the number of qualified professionals in the field. A rise in young people seeking out mental health support is indicative of higher levels of distress than before the COVID pandemic. From January to October of last year, 555 young people sought support. That figure jumped to 744 for the same time period this year, noting an increase of 34%. Donegal County Council has confirmed it has submitted claims to the government totalling over €850,000 seeking reimbursement for money spent on the maintenance of social housing units suspected of being affected by defective concrete blocks. The issue was raised by Councillor Brian Carr, who says it's wrong that this money is coming out of the council's own budget, while the government still hasn't provided a remediation scheme for social homes. A multi-agency day of action took place on Tuesday in Milford in a bid to stamp out the importation of illegal drugs. Searches under warrant under the Misuse of Drugs Act carried out, as well as checkpoint and inspections in the wider Milford and West Donegal area. That's all the headlines for now. We'll be back at 12.
Buying for Liam at Christmas isn't easy. Whatever you think of, he's got it. But this year, Sive's cracked it. Prize bonds. A way of saving that could win him weekly cash prizes or up to €500,000 in monthly draws. What do you get the man who has everything? Endless possibilities. Give them something they'll love this Christmas with prize bonds. Available at statesavings.ie or your local post office. Ireland State Savings. It's a good feeling. Terms and conditions apply.
It's hour 3 of the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Caller says, I have a question in relation to the Enoch Burke situation. If Christ, who is actually God, were here on earth today and he were a solicitor or a barrister, who would he defend? Enoch Burke or the school or the court? Interesting question. Donal, could you mention about the bus stop at Reynolds Old Shop in Letterkenny? It's extremely dangerous there in the evenings at around 5:30. So many buses trying to get in and out around the same time with the darker evenings now. It's an accident waiting to happen. Could the council not have something better? Now, there is a plan to locate a bus shelter, a bus station, indeed, a transport hub, close to the old bacon factory there, if you know the old bacon factory. on Pierce Road. Now, it's going to be a while before that is brought into effect. So at the moment, I think we are, as it were, stuck with that stop beside Old Reynolds. And it's not great because obviously a lot of traffic is using that station roundabout as well. And it's very close to that and it can cause all sorts of traffic backup. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, caller says, please warn your listeners there are increases in scammers phoning to help you protect your Amazon account, saying someone is making a big purchase, etc. That comes from Mary T. Sweeney. Look, I mean, I think I am getting those. Sometimes if you're in the car and the mobile goes and it looks like an Irish mobile number and you hit receive, you hear a voice going, this is Amazon, or this is Revolut. Now, I'll be honest, I go, and it's gone. Is hit the red button immediately. Just on any call like that, hit the red button. Don't, at this point, I don't even ask. As I said to someone recently, I am fairly sure that I will get to the point where I will start missing out on genuine calls because I'm blocking so many calls I think are scammers. And if that happens, so be it. Caller says, drunken drivers cause a lot of road accidents. That means an ambulance has to be called, maybe 2 or 3. Let he who is without sin among us throw the first stone. So says a caller. I don't quite see the relevance of that. Caller says, I have an appointment in Galway for 11:30 tomorrow morning. I don't drive, so I was trying to use public transport. I can't seem to find any bus service from Donegal that will get me there in time for my appointment. Any recommendations or other bus services I may not be familiar with? For a 11:30 appointment in Galway, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, caller. If anyone else knows of any public transport option that will get you to Galway for 11:30 in the morning, I am presuming the appointment is in the hospital. And if I'm incorrect in that assumption, I apologise. But if anyone knows of a way to get to Galway for 11:30 a.m. via public transport, please do let us know. If primary care were staffed with occupational therapy, which has been proven in the NHS to be essential to keeping people at home, that might help. Also, there's no rehab team available in Inishowen, and that's available elsewhere in Donegal. Again, there are a lot of discussions with regards to how do we keep people at home and out of hospital. Now, let's go to Zoom because we're joined by historian Joe Kelly. Always a pleasure to speak to Joe. Joe, a very good morning to you.
Maidin, why good Donal agus a luck Jack. Good morning to yourself and to all listening in Highland Radio.
Amen to that. Let's talk about Sean Lemass, because a bill to rename Dublin Airport the Sean Lemass International Airport has moved on to second stage after it was introduced in the Dáil yesterday. And certainly when I was in school, and I was in secondary school between 1976 and 1981, I would have learned that the man responsible for the industrialisation of Ireland and the man responsible for the Irish economy was Sean Lemass. Almost as though we went from being an agrarian rural backwater to being a first world industrial state, and that was largely the work of Sean Lemass. That's pretty much what I was taught in school. Correct or no?
Partially incorrect. Obviously, he was a leader. He was the Taoiseach of the time, but there were other smart people around him, and maybe we'll talk about that as we're talking about him. But just from the outset, Lemass was born 1899 and he died in 1971. So that's his lifespan we're talking about. Look, there's no doubt that he was a titan of a politician in certainly from the 1920s right up until the late 1960s. There's no question about that. In fact, actually, their family history goes back to the Huguenots that were persecuted in France in the 1690s. They would have been known as les Masters, and then they became known as Lemass later on, moving to Ireland from Scotland to Ireland. But he was involved in 1916. He actually was a stretcher bearer for James Connolly. That was one of the last things he did before he left the GPO. He was only 16. So he was born at a time, or he was involved at the very cradle of the beginning of our Irish Republic and that ideology. He was in the GPO. He fought the fight, so to speak. So he had that integrity and credibility always with him. Interestingly, actually, in 1916, he had accidentally killed his younger brother. It was a house accident. The revolver went off in the house, and later on he was to lose his brother Noel, who was taken, abducted and murdered by, we believe, the Free State pro-treaty side, taken up to Dublin Mountains and shot dead in cold blood. Again, he never showed any bitterness when he became Taoiseach towards that whole history. He was very, very balanced that way. But he was a Sinn Féin TD in 1924, and that was the beginning of his life in politics, which he continued until his death. The point being was that he was a very close ally of De Valera's. Sean McEntee, De Valera and himself were basically the founders of the Fianna Fáil party. In fact, he didn't want the name Fianna Fáil. He suggested the Republican Party, and as a compromise then they called it Fianna Fáil, the Republican Party. And if you ever notice, it's not used really anymore, the Republican Party, but that was the name that he wanted on the party. In fact, what is really interesting is he arrived to Donegal to recruit the old Neil T. Blaney, not Neil T. Blaney maybe that people are familiar with in Donegal, but his father. That'd be the grandfather of the present Blaney's, Niall and Liam, yeah. And he arrived in a car. Old Neil T. Blaney was out working on the field with corn, and Lemass jumps out of the car, walks around the field, and goes over and asks him to join Fianna Fáil. So somewhere in Rosnakill, there's a field where Fianna Fáil was started, because it took some convincing, but Blaney did stand for him. And look, he later on then he had various ministerial roles. He was the Minister for Industry and Commerce, but he became Taoiseach from 59 to 66. And it was during that time, you've got to understand, the 50s, it's known as the decade of the lost generation. On average, 44,000 people, young people, were leaving Ireland every year. There was no work, no employment. We had a very insular economy. And he was at the helm and realised we had to change from the De Valera idea of being independent and doing everything ourselves. And he said, this isn't working. So he opened up the Irish economy. He had a lot of smart people behind him. T.K. Whittaker, who actually was called the person of the century. He only died there in 2017. He was 101. He was an absolute genius. He was a young civil servant. Lemass appointed him to the senior role within the Department of the Finance, and he had the idea of the IDA and about an open economy. He had the idea of moving towards what would later become the EEC and now the EU. So Lemass ran with all these things. Sweetman, who was the Minister for Finance, was very much in the same way of thinking. Think of Donal Malley, who was the Minister of Education at the time, free education, free transport to schools. So there was lots of smart people at that time that realised that they could change the direction of Ireland. And in essence, those smart men and women of that time changed the trajectory, as you pointed out, from merely a farming country with agrarian philosophies and economics to a more open economy, foreign direct investment, realising that we could no longer be insular economy. So he definitely did all those things. There is no question about that, but he didn't do it on his own.
Yeah.
That's the stress.
Isn't it interesting that we're here now talking about how a politician got all the accolades and plaudits because of the vision and because of the actions of a civil servant who was progressive and forward-moving and forward-looking and brought the senior politicians along with them. When you compare it to today, when almost it's like we talk about the politicians having the ideas and the civil servants being the bureaucrats who hold them back, it seems if we had that level of sort of forward vision from our civil servants that we had with people like T.K. Whittaker, who knows what we could achieve.
Yeah, Whittaker was an absolute genius of a man. He even was able to get Terence O'Neill, that Lemass would go to the north to visit, the first kind of state visit between the north and the south. And again, he mastered that, not just once, but twice, trying to bed down a little bit of peace between the north and the south, the 6 counties and the 26 counties. He was very, very forward looking. But while I have a great admiration for Sean Lemass, and I actually have read a biography of his many years ago by O'Sullivan, and really, really insightful things. In fact, what is very interesting, the 5 founding principles of Fianna Fáil that Sean Lemass laid out, I would argue that they're no longer in Fianna Fáil, but that's for another day's talking. Certainly the 5 founding principles are not to be seen as far as I'm concerned as a historian, and I'm willing to argue that any day. But the point I have is he was paid by the state, he was a servant of the state, he got a pension, and he got a damn good wage. Why do we need to call an airport after a politician? And I think it's the wrong message to send out. And I think this is a solo run, another Gavin moment, a presidential Gavin moment. whereby a few people in the upper room are making a decision for the rest of everybody else to have to live up to. I think it's a half-baked idea. About 36.7 million people, that's last year, passed through Dublin Airport, and we don't need a poster for Fianna Fáil over the airport celebrating one of their politicians. And I'm very clear in that. We could have somebody that's less divisive. How about having somebody with culture, somebody that has done something for humanitarian issues for Ireland? I'm thinking of the likes of maybe just Ronnie O'Sullivan that won a gold medal, or Dr. Pat O'Callaghan that won the first 2 gold medals for Ireland. I'm thinking of Wolfe Tone even, the father of Irish republicanism, who was a Protestant who tried to unite the Irishmen. How about the Wolfe Tone International Airport? How about Sonia O'Sullivan? What about Enya? What about Mary Fitzgerald? She was a trade unionist down in South Africa. There's a square called after her in Johannesburg. And her pick handle is still there, displayed proudly in the museum in South Africa. Look, I'm only throwing out names. Enya, different other people. Why can we not celebrate people that have added of their own with no pay, their cultural, humanitarian things, and celebrate what we really are as a country? And both of us are old enough to remember the old money. Do you remember the old fiver and tenner and £20 notes? What was unique about Irish money, and I detest the euro, the style of it. We had, for example, Donna Scotta's on the £5 note, or Sister Catherine Macaulay. We had Yeats, a poet, on the £20 note. We had Dean Swift, a great writer, on the £10 note. You know, we celebrated our culture, our history, our language. Why could we not have that over the airport? Something that celebrates who we are. We don't need another politician.
Joe, not only am I old enough to remember the old money, Sean Lemass was Taoiseach when I was born. I mean, that's how old I am. Sean Lemass was Taoiseach when I was alive. And De Valera was president at the same time.
Okay, well, I was just probably in the process of being born. I'm not sure.
I think I have a few years on you, all right, Joe.
Okay, well, we're thereabouts. But look, it's not that I'm anti-Sean Lemass. I think this is, it seems that they'll never learn, and this is a half-baked idea by somebody in Fianna Fáil, as far as I'm concerned, doing a solo run. I just wonder how the people of America would feel if they would decide to call it an airport the Trump International Airport. Half of the people of America would be happy, the other half wouldn't be. And I think this is a situation like this again. How about giving it to honour some person that we can all unite behind and it not be political? And I think that's just unfortunate. You know what I would love to see? Maybe Fianna Fáil coming into a room and thinking about building 500 houses that we damn well need and calling it the Sean Lemass housing drive or something. Yeah. How about maybe building a bridge over Letterkenny for our traffic? The people are stuck in traffic. And I don't think there's anybody in Donegal that would object to calling that bridge the Sean Lemass Bridge. Do something. Don't take something that's already built and rename it. That's the easy one for them. Go and do something and honour the man's memory by doing something proactively. But it's the easy one for them in this. And I think they're just not going to learn here. And I personally am very, very angry with this kind of politics. It stinks. And I talked to you before about maybe the idea of, where the phrase "the stinking rich" comes from.
Yeah.
In the medieval times, they were buried under the floorboards of the churches, and eventually their bodies would decompose, and people go in to pray and say, "What's this?" It's the stinking rich. This is stinking politics. Ireland is bigger than this. Ireland should celebrate our culture, our heritage, our humanitarian, the good works we've done, famous people, and not push it down to politics. And the question I really should be asking is, why is it for the Dáil and the politicians to decide this? Why don't they give the people the choice? And I saw a poll there, and just before I checked in, and there was over 4,000 votes, and over 3,000 of them were not wanting it to be called the Sean Lemass Airport. Not that people are against Sean Lemass, but there are other people maybe that are more wonderful in their contribution to our history that should be maybe honoured in that regard. And maybe just to take it back to brass tacks, at the moment people are very, very annoyed with politicians. And I don't want to be getting anti any political party, but last year our take-home pay was 2% less than this year will be 2% less than last year. Yet the government, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, has confirmed that our economy, of the fastest growing economies, wealthiest countries in the world, will be about 9.7%. Let's break that down to simple politics. Imagine Amazon made 10% profit last year and turned around to its workers and says, thanks very much, we're going to give you all a 2% wage reduction. People are angry with politicians, and I think this is the wrong thing to do, to name it after a politician. Go building a housing estate, go and build a few bridges, go and do some infrastructure, fix the homelessness, give the 5,000 homeless children of this country a place to live, and call it the Shan Lamas housing drive or whatever it is. But don't put a political poster over our airport. I think it's below what we, the people of Ireland, deserve. That's my take on it, Donal.
I have to be honest, I don't see what's wrong with Dublin Airport. I think Dublin Airport does exactly what it says on the tin, and I think it's a name that's served that airport well since its inception, and I see no particular reason to change it. Particularly as far as I can see, I think partly this came, from a joke just over a week ago when Dublin Airport themselves put up a little mocked up sign on social media where they renamed it the Troy Parrott International Airport after the heroics in Budapest and against Romania the few days earlier in the Aviva in Dublin. And from what I can see, that seems to be the genesis of this. It's sort of someone said, oh, that's an idea. Wait a minute, what about?
Well, Malcolm Byrne has ran with it in the Dial. He's a Fianna Fáil TD, and is now at the second stage.
I know he has actually referenced the Troy Parrott thing, saying, well, this has given it a boost.
Yeah, but he's mentioned Tri-Parrot, that we would call the Metro line or the New Lewis line in Dublin after him. I think this is just, we'll get our bit and we'll appease the general public at the moment because we're also happy with Tri-Parrot having scored those goals with Portugal and Hungary. But the point being is there's lots and lots of people out there that have done so much in the voluntary sector. People living today that's getting no pension and no wage from the state, and are giving off their time and off their energy. Where do they get to be honoured? Where do they get to be respected? And I think it belittles us to honour a politician that has got his big wage and has got his big pension, and then to give him the ego-caressing moment of naming an airport after him. I think the optics are all wrong. And particularly coming up to Christmas, when families are hard pushed, and the last thing they want to hear is a politician being given accolades, and it's self-congratulatory. And again, I think it'll be interesting, and I feel sorry for the likes of Charlie McConnell and Patrick Cope, because I don't believe those two men would think like that. There's obviously somebody doing a solar run in Fianna Fáil, and it's back to being a Jim Gavin moment, and they don't seem to learn. They're not going to learn. But look, I think it would be a great thing to do is to open it out and ask the people of Ireland, who would you want to mention and we have reference to this airport? And as you say, Dublin Airport is wonderful, but a lot of the John F. Kennedy, De Gaulle Airport, you have
both named after politicians, which undermining your argument in a way.
Well, and John F. Kennedy was because he was assassinated.
Yeah.
You understand? I think that's more than anything else. De Gaulle, who led France through a war and was in exile in London, and he did a lot more than just that. He was a great man himself, and the integrity was just impeccable. Like how he led France, and he had to go back again a second time to become their president when they were stuck, and he didn't want to, and he went back in and he helped heal France again a second time. So look, that lots of airports throughout the world are named after people or individuals, but Ireland is a country of great culture, heritage, history. Let's celebrate that. If we're going to name an airport after someone, I'm just thinking of our own county woman, Enya. Like, what a wonderful ambassador in the music. Think of people like Sonia O'Sullivan. I'm just throwing names like that out. There's a lovely man that Bob Collins who developed neonatal care, and he was taken out to Bergen-Belsen in the concentration camp after World War II because he was so far advanced with medical care for young children and babies. And he did a terrible lot of work. He actually was the man behind helping Christy Brown write My Left Foot. How about calling it after him? I'm just using these as examples. People that gave off themselves nobly without any reward, and we should honour that kind of energy, that kind of spirit. What message is Fianna Fáil sending to our young people this Christmas to name an airport after a politician?
I'm going to leave you with a comment. I totally agree with Joe. These politicians are very well paid for the job they do. It's nothing more than boosting an ego very much out of touch. Joe Kelly, a pleasure as always. Thank you very much indeed.
Imagine
Joe.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till Noon Show with the Silver Tassie Hotel, the perfect venue for a Christmas get-together, serving festive lunch, afternoon tea and dinner throughout December. Follow Silver Tassie Hotel on Facebook and Instagram.
At Super Value with real rewards until Sunday, stock up on 7-Up, Club and Pepsi 18-pack cans, €8 each. Quality Street Chocolate Tub 550 gram, only €4. Also, Faustino 5 and Graham Norton Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc wine cases, €50 each. Check your real rewards app for vouchers and make it a Christmas with a difference at Super Value. DRS supplies. Please drink responsibly.
Great to see you back at Specsavers. Okay, could you read out the letters on the wall for me?
Yep. DEAL. Yeah, DEALS. Deals.
Oh, right. Yes, our Black Friday deals are eye-catching, but the letter chart's over here.
Oh, sorry.
At Specsavers, we've got all sorts of unmissable Black Friday deals, like up to €70 off one pair of designer glasses. Offer ends on 7th of December 2025. Conditions apply. Ask in store for details.
What if you could send a free chocolate bar in secret to someone special? Just to, give them a little lift. With the Cadbury Secret Santa postal service, you can send free chocolate secretly from a poster. They're popping up all over the country, from great big cities to quaint little towns. Look out for a poster near you or search Cadbury Secret Santa to find out more. 18 plus, free service on selected products while stocks last until December the 21st. For full terms and conditions, visit cadbury.ie.
Black Friday sale on now at Brian McCormick Sports. 20% off your favourite trainers, Hoka, Brooks, On and Asics. 20% off clothing and footwear in our Black Friday sale. Call in store or shop online now at bmcsports.ie. Brian McCormick Sports. Black Friday sale.
Celebrate the life and music of the legendary Joe Dolan live at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny, Friday, January the 16th, with the Dolan family and the original Joe Dolan band performing all the classics, Good Looking Woman, Make Me an Island, and many more. Tickets on sale now from the hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie.
Join Bogue's Food Hall Christmas celebration on Saturday, November 29th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. A day packed with Christmas cheer, face painting, balloon modelling and special guests. The Grinch, Rudolph, Bluey and Santa from 12 to 1 p.m. Indulge in homemade Christmas fare, sausage rolls, mince pies and meals for brunch, lunch and dinner. Browse fresh handcrafted bouquets in store. Travelling through Monaghan? Stop by for festive fun at Bogue's Food Hall, Dublin Road, H18 A620. Open 7 days.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
27 minutes past 11 o'clock. Now, An Garda Síochána has launched Can You See Me Now? It's a nationwide road safety campaign designed to draw urgent attention to the critical importance of visibility on Irish roads, particularly for vulnerable road users, including pedestrians, cyclists, e-scooter drivers and motorcyclists. Delighted to say we're joined in studio by Inspector Sean McDade from the Roads Policing Unit in Donegal. Sean, good morning to you. Good morning. Sean, in terms of the campaign, visibility is, when I was going to school, we were always told to wear reflective armbands, and in a sense, it hasn't changed. It's as important as ever it was.
Absolutely. It's all about road safety, being seen, being visible to other road users, and hopefully then reduce the fatalities and serious injury collisions.
Now, as well as obviously pedestrians, you've got cyclists and e-scooters referenced there as well. And that's an interesting one because I came across, I was driving into Letterkenny from Remelton on Thursday night last. It was around about 11:30. And there was an e-scooter just sort of on the side of the road out in the country that did have a red light on the back of it. But it was a sort of strangely placed red light. It took a while to notice what it was. Now, I realised what it was, obviously. But, it just goes to show you have all these new sort of things on the road as well that we have to be aware of.
Well, e-scooters are a fairly new phenomenon over the last couple of years, and unfortunately this year 2 e-scooter riders have lost their lives. But the most important thing for the e-scooters riders is that they are seen. They're not allowed to use footpaths, so they have to use the roads. They have to have sort of wear appropriate reflective clothing so that they can be seen. They have to have an audible device like a bell or some sort of horn on their e-scooter as well. But the big thing is they have to be over 16, and they have to ride within the rules of the law.
Yeah. Now, in this instance, as I say, in fairness, there was a very visible red light on the back of the scooter, but it was, six inches up off the road maybe, and there was a light on the front as well. But the person themselves was wearing very dark clothing and didn't have anything reflective, and that probably wasn't the best of ideas.
Absolutely not. I think the more visible you are, the safer it is for you. And I appeal for parents of the children that are going out, make sure they're wearing appropriate clothing so they can be seen.
The fact that 37 pedestrians have been killed on Irish roads this year, some of them older people with 7 fatalities aged over 81. Now, obviously, some of those would have been during the hours of daylight, but some will have been at night.
Absolutely. Again, it's visibility. If pedestrians are out on the streets, especially around Donegal, rural roads, that they should be wearing appropriate clothing, high visibility jacket. They're available most Garda stations and all the public services centres.
In terms of cyclists and motorcyclists as well, the same message?
Same message. Cyclists, there's been 14 pedal cyclists killed this year on Irish roads. Motorcyclists, there's been 29. Most of those are Saturday, Sundays. And again, most motorcycles these days come with their dipped headlights automatically on. But again, appropriate wear. The easier a car can see you, the better it is for you.
Now, as part of this campaign, Garda social media pages, Facebook pages, other social media and web pages are turning neon yellow, and people may be wondering, what is this glaring thing I'm seeing when I look at a Garda social media page? This is what's behind it.
This is what's behind it. So for the next 48 hours, all Garda's social media is neon yellow. It's just, if somebody's scrolling, it catches their attention and they look at it a little bit more and read into the Be Safe, Be Seen.
Now, obviously, we have discussed this issue with Gráinne Doherty and others on the community information slot on a Tuesday, and very often Gráinne is able to tell us that there are reflective armbands or the vests available in the Garda station and other Garda stations around the county. Is that the case at the moment? Can people avail of those reflective vests and armbands?
They can. They're free of charge, available in most Garda stations and the public services centres for the Donegal County Council.
And hopefully there's good stock there and people will take up on that. Sean, in terms of the Can You See Me Now campaign, as you say, everyone does need to be more visible, and it's almost, I suppose, what we need to do is start by saying, well, I'm okay, I'm visible, but then go, well, what more could I do? And sometimes if we're wearing one armband, maybe put on 2. If we're wearing 2 armbands, maybe consider putting on the reflective vest, maybe consider something on the feet as well. The more we do, the better it's going to be. Absolutely.
I think the vests are very, very good. They're very reflective. They can be seen from a distance if a car has lights on. If it's dusky hours, you're more visible as well. The pedestrians are more visible.
And that's an important one because, too, it's starting to get dark. I mean, effectively, at this point, there could be children walking home from school and it's sort of starting to get a bit dusky, particularly if it's cloudy. So even at that point, even at sort of 4:30, 5 in the afternoon into the evening, would be a good time to wear them.
Be an excellent time to wear them. Kids are very vulnerable coming home from school. They're well used to walking on the footpaths, but our message is a very simple, powerful message. It's a very powerful act. Just be seen. Be seen.
Inspector Sean McDade, Community Engagement Inspector with responsibility for roads in Donegal. Sean, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning. It's an important, and just to repeat, if someone doesn't have a reflective vest or whatever, they're available in your local Garda station. Call in, they'll be happy to cater for you and pass one on to you, and hopefully this will help prevent some deaths and injuries in our county and beyond into the future. Sean, thank you.
Thank you.
And that was Inspector Sean McDade there. Let's look at some of your comments. And we were speaking earlier about a bus to the hospital in Galway. Now, a caller says, Bus Éireann runs a bus to Galway Hospital. It leaves at 6:30 in the morning from Donegal Town. Hopes this helps. If the caller can get to Donegal Town, you'll get the bus down to the hospital. Now, I do occasionally have need to be in hospital by... Well, I have to be there by 9 in the morning, so there's no public transport issue. So in my case, I'm becoming very conversant with various hotels and bed and breakfasts and so on down around the Galway area. But hopefully if you can get yourself to Sligo to Donegal town by 6:30. There is a bus that goes from then. Now, we also do know, by the way, that there is a campaign going. There is a bus that leaves the hospital going to Galway from Letterkenny and from Sligo. Now, the problem is that bus doesn't get there until practically the afternoon, so there is a campaign on to get that service enhanced and to get more people involved in that service. Now, I want to change our tack completely, and we're going to discuss allergies. And there is a parents' campaign for new allergy therapies. It's being run by Allergy Action Ireland. Nearly 1 in 3 in this country now lives with a food allergy, yet the country has no national allergy policy. Joined on the line by Sheila Downs, who is a spokesperson for Allergy Action Ireland. Sheila, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Donal. How are you?
Very well indeed, thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
We're becoming more and more used to seeing gluten-free shelves in our shops, and we hear of people being lactose intolerant and people obviously being celiac and allergic to gluten, and various others. We hear of shellfish allergies, etc., etc. There seems to be more awareness than ever now at the risk of food allergy, but you're saying that government policy as such isn't keeping pace with the level of knowledge that we're developing as a society.
Yes, that's right, Donal. I suppose our group, Allergy Action Ireland, we've come together as parents of allergy children, and I myself have 2 children with food allergies, and we formed our advocacy group, Allergy Action Ireland, to try and really raise the awareness on the severity of some of these allergies and the risk in terms of anaphylaxis. And I suppose, yeah, you've mentioned there's nearly 1 in 3 people in Ireland with an allergy. There's probably 1 in 20 with a food allergy, which equates to something like 5% of children living with an IEG-mediated food allergy. And that really, I mean, if you think about it, it's something like 1 to 2 children in every classroom in this country. So that's very significant in terms of a public health issue that has been undeclared really by our government. And we're sending our children into the classrooms with no education plan for our teachers, for our SNAs. There's no standardised care for them. I suppose we send our children in with their own auto-injector pens, so EpiPens. But really we have to do the training as parents for those teachers, for those SNAs. There's no standardised approach there for them. So it's those types of pillars that we're trying to raise awareness of as part of Allergy Action Ireland.
Are there potential insurance issues if you actually get teachers and SNAs involved in this? Because I know, for instance, in a case where someone is receiving home help at home, a home help cannot help administer drugs. A home help is very restricted in what they can do from that point of view. Does this need to be looked at from the point of view of what a teacher or a school can do with regards to a potential anaphylaxis attack? Because there could be fears of insurance complications or even fears of legal action.
Absolutely, yeah, that fear is definitely there, and the apprehension, because I suppose schools are fantastic. They try and do the best they can with the resources they've been provided with. So we do get some schools that roll out their own emergency training for their staff, first aid training, but that first aid training doesn't necessarily include the training in terms of how to use EpiPens. And if this was rolled out nationally, they'd have far more certainty in how to use it. It wouldn't be something rushed coming from a parent that perhaps isn't a medical expert. You know, we're given training ourselves from perhaps our allergy consultant, but we're not trained to provide that training ourselves. So if there was a system there, a standardised approach in terms of the care for our schools, the training for our teachers, I think they would all feel a lot more confident in terms of administering these pens should it be needed. It's not something that's highly technical. You could train someone within 10 to 20 minutes. So it's something that can easily be done and easily rolled out by our government, but we don't have a national allergy strategy, and we don't have the availability of emergency kits within schools. So it's something that we really urgently need to see rolled out as a national standard, not a haphazard approach by parents.
Have you had contact with Minister Jennifer Carr McNeil's department in terms of working towards such a strategy and working towards such a standardised policy within schools?
Yeah, so we actually were in the audiovisual room in Leinster House on Tuesday of this week, where we presented to a number of the TDs and the representatives of a number of the minister departments. And just this morning we've had a discussion held through Senator Ivana Quillen, who brought the issues and I suppose our pillars to the attention of the minister. So we've raised the questions, and we're really starting off on this journey now to try and raise the awareness, to show the level of care that we're missing in Ireland, I suppose, especially for our children, our most vulnerable in society, and looking forward then to where we want to go, to have this national strategy, to have a standardised care plan, and ultimately to have treatment for our children, because there are treatments available internationally that aren't available here in Ireland that could reduce the risk of the severe anaphylaxis that some children go into if they do consume one of their food allergies. So yeah, we have been in touch, but we need to keep the pressure on. We have a lot more work to do, and I suppose that's what the Allergy Action Ireland group wants to try and achieve now over the next coming months and years, I suppose, ultimately.
We know that we often hear of an instance where on an airplane someone will say, ladies and gentlemen, we have somebody on that has a severe allergy to nuts, so we would ask, please do not open any bags of nuts on the plane. We will not be serving nuts on the plane as a result of this. Does this happen in schools, and does there need to be more action taken to ensure that if someone in a school has a potential allergy, or if someone in a school has a potential problem, that you don't have a child unwittingly opening a bag of peanuts or whatever beside them?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fear that as an allergy parent you live with every day. You can't control every facet. And again, it's the awareness raising, it's the knowledge. So if you think about the classroom environment today, we've had this fantastic rollout of the hot school meals across a lot of countries and our counties, and that's really needed and very much needed for a lot of families. But that brings a whole other sense of, I suppose, fear for us as allergy parents, because you could have one child at a desk that might be 4 children that has food allergies. So it might be to milk, it might be to eggs, it might be to nuts, and they could have a child sitting beside them consuming the food that they're actually allergic to. And if you think about a child that might have a sesame seed allergy, which can be very, very significant in some children, if they touch the desk and there's just even one sesame seed on that desk, and they pick it up with their finger by accident, touch their mouth and consume it, or it even just touches around the mouth, that could be enough to trigger an anaphylactic reaction in an allergy child. And that's how serious it is. So it's the awareness around all of this, how we manage it, how we roll out the standard care and education within the school. Even things like the arts and crafts, if they're doing something like a bird feeder, there could be a mix there that has peanuts or other nuts in it. So there's all sorts of things within schools that are a risk to our children, and that's nobody's fault. You know, we have an increased number of children with allergies, unfortunately, so we now need to respond to that and find a way to manage it and to care for our children so that every child has every opportunity in life to live as a child should and to undertake these activities.
Do you find
not feel left out ultimately?
Do you find that sometimes food allergies are almost wrongly dismissed as a lifestyle choice? There was a period where you'd hear almost comedians crack jokes about, oh yeah, someone is lactose intolerant, and it's like it's a lifestyle choice because these days it's hip to be lactose intolerant or it's hip to be gluten intolerant, and that almost in some way undermined what was very important work in coming to understand what are real and genuine medical issues.
Well, I suppose just to make the distinction, something like lactose intolerance or gluten intolerant, that's very different to food allergies. So we have our 14 key allergens in Ireland that are listed, but then there are others, obviously, that other children or adults may be allergic to. But certainly it is something that has been in the past, I suppose, treated as, kind of laughable. How could you be allergic to milk? How could you be allergic to eggs? You might have an intolerance, but it is that severe. It is that serious. We have had cases. We've had one unfortunate case in Dublin where a young girl died on the street because of her allergy. She consumed a small quantity of her allergen, and EpiPen was not administered through the pharmacy at that time. It is very serious. There are cases all the time within planes where, I know I've had it when I've been travelling with my children who have peanut allergy, as an example. We've had the announcement raised on the flight when we boarded. The air hostesses are fantastic. They'll re-announce it again and say that they won't sell the products containing nuts on the plane. But then this summer I had it where a parent of some other child in front of me opened a packet of peanuts, and her view was that, well, my child wasn't consuming it, so they should be fine. When that's not the case. You don't know in a really confined environment like that what could happen, and it's better to be safe than sorry. Anaphylaxis is life-threatening. Our children live with this life-threatening potential reaction all of their lives. So it is very serious.
Yeah, I recall that case in Dublin you referenced. As I recall, what happened was they didn't have the pen with them and they didn't have a prescription, and they went into a pharmacy to try and just get one over the counter and couldn't. And there was I know there was a long legal discussion and indeed a political discussion. I believe there was questions of legislation going through the Dáil after it, actually, because the pharmacist said, look, I cannot administer this without a prescription. No prescription was preferred, and sadly there was a death as a result.
There was, yeah. Now, the Minister for Health at the time did allow for a change in legislation whereby you can administer the EpiPen without a need for prescription. So that was monumental, and that's such an amazing achievement. But we need to see that rolled out further. If you take the school setting again, for example, just because that's where we have such a huge number of kids obviously combined into one area, if there was a child there that suddenly became allergic for the first time to some food and had a severe reaction, there would be no pen available to administer to that child. So we're advocating for emergency kits to be available in all schools, not just where us as parents come in and dump, up to 20 EpiPens into a box that's there for our child should it be needed. We want to see kits available, not just in schools, at GA pitches, available with defibrillators that have been rolled out everywhere now in the community. And that would just give such a sense of security to a lot of these kids that have severe allergies, where it's inevitable. We're all busy. We're running here and there. You will forget your pens at some point and your heart will sink and you'll be, an hour away from your home, 2 hours from your home. And what do? Do you get back in the car and drive back again? So to have that step forward would be amazing from our point of view.
Sheila Downs, thank you very much indeed. That's Sheila Downs from Allergy Action Ireland. We'll take a short break, back after this.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Your one-stop shop this Christmas. Gift vouchers for the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa are available online at silvertassiehotel.com or from hotel reception. The Silver Tassie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Are you feeling stressed, in pain or in need of a reset? Imagine a place where gentle healing vibrations, light and sound gently wash over you, nurturing both your body and mind, melting away tension and easing pain. This is possible at Beyond Light Therapy, designed to support deep relaxation, renewal, and your body's natural ability to heal. People report a sense of calm, improved mood, mental clarity, and renewed energy. At Beyond Light Therapy, where health begins, experience the first 60-unit energy enhancement system on the planet. Call us today to begin your journey.
Bring home chef quality food this Christmas with Dunn Stores Simply Better. Entertain in style with Irish farmhouse and continental cheeses, served alongside Italian and Spanish charcuterie meats. And there's plenty to share with Black Tiger tempura prawns or our handmade dips like our new Hot Honey Ranch. And you can save more with your 10 off 50 voucher. Dunn Stores. Make Christmas simply better. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher could be used in next grocery shop.
Ho, 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 ho. Santa Claus speaking.
It's me, Santa, your trusty elf. I've got an urgent message from Cooney's Christmas shop.
Oh, my golly goodness. What's happening at Cooney's?
Well, Santa, they've gone all out this year. Their Christmas decor is bigger and better than ever.
Visit Cooney's Christmas shop, Letterkenny Retail Park, and feel the magic of Christmas. Santa approved.
The Water Stewardship Programme helped us reduce our water waste by half and make real savings too.
When Blossom and Berry signed up to the Water Stewardship Programme from Uisce Éireann, they tapped into bigger savings. The programme provides Irish businesses with ways to reduce their water bills at no extra cost. Register now for this 60-minute online course at water.ie. Uisce Éireann. Delivering water services for Ireland.
Ho, ho, ho! Santa's here with an important message for all good recyclers. Whether from toys, tech, decorations, or devices, never ever bin batteries. Always recycle for free. It's easy. Just return your old batteries for free recycling to your point of purchase. Or find your nearest drop-off point at weireland.ie. Let's keep our planet safe and bright.
Has anyone seen Ralph? Word is he headed up to face the North Face, and he brought Tommy Hilfiger and Fred Perry along for the adventure. Now all four are headed to Evolve Clothing for Black Friday deals. Catch them at Letterkenny Retail Park or evolveclothing.com.
The 9 till noon show with Donegal's multi-award winning wedding venue, the Silver Tassie Hotel, planning dream weddings for generations. Email weddings@silvertassiehotel.ie for information on their brand new wedding packages.
Have you got a great idea for your coastal community? The Flag North would like a word. We have significant funding for projects around Donegal that will help our coastline. Join us at the Free Flag North application workshop at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny, December 2nd, with sessions at 10:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. Learn what gets funded, get help with your application and book one-to-ones with our team. Find out more at bim.ie. Your coast, your community, your call.
Did you make your list? Did you check it twice? On the 27th and 28th of November, the Nissan Leaf is coming to Letterkenny for 2 days only, with over 600 kilometres of range and rapid 30-minute charging. It's electric driving made for Donegal roads. Come to iMotors, explore it. No pressure, just pure innovation. Pre-order before December 23rd and you could win €10,000. Nissan Roadshow at iMotors Letterkenny.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Christmas is coming. It's time to post your Santa letters at your local Maple store. Bring the kids along and send their letters straight to the North Pole, making magical memories along the way. Maple stores, fresh, local, convenient, and full of Christmas cheer.
Can you spot a scam artist? Scam artists are using increasingly sophisticated ways to gain access to your money and personal data. The next time you get an unexpected phone call, text, or email offering you a financial product, or requesting your bank or credit card details, ask yourself, is this a scam? Always check you are dealing with a genuine firm before giving your personal information or transferring money. To find out more, go to centralbank.ie/scams.
Have you ever thought about fostering a child? Right now, Tusla Fostering are looking for people like you to join our amazing community of foster carers in Donegal. We need foster carers for respite, short-term and long-term fostering to provide nurturing and supportive homes for children of all ages. Fostering with Tusla means support, training and knowing you're never alone. Start your fostering journey today. Call free phone 1800 226 771 or visit fostering.ie for more information.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover Christmas gift ideas for everyone on your list, from trending beauty to memorable Secret Santa gifts. Visit us in Ballybuffet to explore our extensive range of gifts or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
A band of more persistent rain will spread from the west into the early afternoon, followed by drier and brighter conditions with sunny spells. The rest of today will be dry apart from well-scattered showers, mainly in the west. Mild with top temperatures this afternoon, 11 to 14 degrees Celsius, becoming cooler as the rain clears with southwest winds strengthening through the day. Winds hitting close to gale force near western coastal areas. A quick reminder of our competition before we go to Buncrana to close out the show. You could win this week, thanks to our show sponsors, the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa, an indulgent Yonka Delight package at the spa. It's valued at €155. It includes an aromatic steam session and cocoon room, a hot towel, foot and back cleanse, a Yonka back massage and hydrating facial, pressure point face and scalp massage, warm oil foot massage, finished off with snooze room relaxation time and refreshments. The whole package takes around 2.5 hours of pure luxury. To be in a chance with winning the prize tomorrow, Friday, Greg will be announcing the winner tomorrow. Simply answer this question: which of these is not traditionally associated with Christmas? Mistletoe, candy canes or fireworks? Which isn't associated with Christmas? Mistletoe, candy canes or fireworks? Text or WhatsApp your answer, name and address to 086 60 20 5000. Adrian McMillan is an independent community representative in Buncrana, and Adrian wants to see the development of a dedicated creative arts hub in the area. Adrian, good morning.
Good morning, Donal, and good morning to all the listeners.
Adrian, you've made the point there is no shortage of creativity in Buncrana. There is no shortage of commitment to the arts in Buncrana. What there is a shortage of is space.
Yes, 100%, Donal. We have a fantastic hall up there already, St Mary's Hall, but it's at full capacity nearly now. And I think just with speaking with so many groups in Buncrana, including artists, the theatre groups, singers, dancers, writers, artists, everyone, we all have the same aim that we need a culture centre in Buncrana.
Where would you see this being developed? Do you have a site in mind?
Yeah, well, we have a few sites in mind we discussed, but again, it'll be up to the council to ask for help. This will be dealt with at development stage, and the main outcome today is to get a commitment from everyone and a commitment from the council and the Minister for Arts to hopefully give us a culture centre, which is badly needed and a showing.
You've been, I'm sure, in touch with the various councillors around the area. Are you getting their support?
Yep, they're all support, and they see the need for it also.
Would this be operated then by Donegal County Council, or how would you actually see this operating? Where would the ownership lie?
Well, according to research, like the cultural centres around the country is run by different partnerships. So, like, it could be between the council, the local community, the local professionals run it as well. So, again, it'll be probably similar run to those across the country, like Carrick and Shannon, Cork, the Regional Cultural Centre in Letterkenny.
And you would see this as a nexus for the arts that would feature, and with the RCC in Letterkenny, as you've referenced, it does indeed have occasional concerts and presentations, but there's also regular exhibitions. It's used as a rehearsal space, it's used as a meeting space, and you would want that sort of multifunctional element to it in Buncrana as well, that it's somewhere where people can go to rehearse, maybe people go and paint, have studios, etc. So it's not just a gig venue, it's more than that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, this hub would provide rehearsal rooms, studio workshop spaces, storage spaces, which is badly needed, technical facilities, and like a small performance black box theatre as well.
Adrian, it's a very interesting idea, and we wish you well with it. You're working, I'm sure you'll get the backing, as you say, of the local members of council. You'll also get the backing, I'm sure, the leader programme in a show and development, and others will be taking an interest in this too.
Yeah, hopefully over the next couple of weeks now, I'll be in touch with everyone and all the community groups and all the theatre groups as well, and we'll hold a meeting and get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I know there was use of Tullyarvin Mill for things like this over the course of the past couple of years. Are there other resources in the area that can be used more? As you say, St Mary's Hall is there. We also see the return of gigs to the old cinema, which is great to see as well. So, I mean, it does appear to be improving. Are there facilities like Tullyarvin Mill that could be used more in the meantime?
Well, the Plaza Buncrana's there as well, but all the community halls and all the community theatres are really busy, which is great to see. It's not a complaint. There's so much art groups and they're really successful, and lots of people going.
Yeah.
And like it's great for their mental health, it's great for youth community development, it's great. There's so many benefits to the arts and culture scene. So yeah.
Adrian, thank you very much indeed. Adrian McMullen there speaking to us from Buncrana. Let's take one or two final little things. Caller says, I 100% agree with Dr. Joe regarding renaming things that have already been built and named. I'm thinking of the Letterkenny and the Pierce Road, used to be the Railway Road. The Polestar roundabout should have been called the Port roundabout. Another caller, he is so right. It's the most sense I've heard in a long time. He is saying what we're all thinking. What about Sister Stan, a woman who'd be truly deserving of something named after her? We were speaking about Be Safe, Be Seen. Caller says people dressed in black heading toward Milford past Lidl. They're an accident waiting to happen. Gardaí in Milford need to be on the lookout. And just to let you know, there'll be confidential shredding on tomorrow, Friday, at Letterkenny Shopping Centre. It's in association with United Shredding Company and Letterkenny Rotary Club, all for just a donation to the Donegal Down Syndrome Association. You can see your confidential documents shredded in the USL machine. And that brings the programme to a close, my friends. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure presenting this morning. Greg's back in the hot seat as usual tomorrow. John Breslin's up next around the Northwest. Thanks, as always, to Shannon and especially to Caroline Orr for producing and holding my hand as always. As I say, Greg's back tomorrow. John's on around the Northwest after the news. But for myself, Donal Kavanagh, have a very good day.
Teddy's Bar at the Silver Tassie Hotel, the ideal spot to catch up for cosy Christmas drinks by the fire and enjoy live music.